You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
All right, good morning and welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert with you. Can we get an update on the American hockey team? How are things?
They're back in the U.S.
So they got back to Miami in the middle of the night last night, and all I saw was videos when I immediately when I woke up this morning, just American hockey players just raging in Miami. So.
Good city to rage.
Yeah, and so maybe the party has settled down by now, although maybe not.
So I have a question. One of the great joys I had when I was younger was the Sports Center commercials where
this is Sports Center.
And you'd have different sports figures or whatever. And one of the times it was someone after, I don't know which hockey player it was, is after they had won the Stanley Cup and they were just walking around the offices and they had the cup with them. And the whole thing about the cup is every player gets their day with the cup or whatever. What do they do anything like that with the medals? Do they just go out and have a normal day, but they wear their gold medal everywhere?
Great question.
People are just oh man, it's so-and-so the gold medalist.
I mean, I suppose it's up to them to do whatever they please with the gold medal.
If you had a gold medal, would you bring it everywhere with you?
No,
would you want people to know that you just have this gold medal?
I wouldn't mind people knowing that I've been a gold medalist.
Have you physically ever held a gold medal?
I don't think so. I may have touched.
I never touched one.
I may have touched a medal.
Yeah. So Kurt Tomasevich was at this golf event that I was at,
Yeah.
and he was letting everybody wear the gold medal, and I joked I didn't want to wear it because I wanted to win my own. And but at the same time, I'm holding the thing. One, it's heavy. Two, it is cool as hell.
Have you ever worn?
It is so cool.
Have you ever worn a Super Bowl ring or a World Series ring,
I've
a
worn
real one?
I've worn a conference championship ring, or not a professional sports title, but I've worn collegiate stuff.
This is actually a kind of a fun question because it's completely dependent on a random experience that you may have had.
It's not because of anything you've done.
I wore a Royals World Series ring.
Oh man, that had to have been
for seconds at a time.
Was it part of their caravan thing?
So no, we went down when I was in Lincoln. We were affiliated, and they did more. I don't know what they do for affiliates now, but when we went down there for a game in 2016, the year after they won. And, it was a whole thing. It was, we were there before and blah, blah, blah. And one of the radio, the radio boss or the radio boss. That's not a term, but they were here you go. And then they gave this is a cool thing that I still have. They gave us printed tickets to what would have been Game 6 of the World Series back at Kauffman Stadium, but they won in Game 5,
famously.
And so I have it in a cigar box somewhere.
Very
tickets
cool.
to Game 6 of the World Series.
But you haven't done
that
the whole
never
photo
existed.
Framed it thing.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. It's in a pile with a bunch of other ticket
you do
stubs.
it for the next place you live.
Every once in a while, I pull out my ticket stubs in my cigar box.
That's great.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a great keepsake. We've discussed this. I wish I had a box score for every baseball game that I had attended.
I have a spreadsheet.
I know people that have they call it bracket binders. They have a bracket or a binder that has all of their brackets for the NCAA tournament.
Now that's cool.
All of their years of predictions and everything all logged. And then the guy that I know that does it is so meticulous about it. he has his predictions on one side of the sleeve, and then the actual what happened on the other
Okay,
side.
that's awesome.
So then he just like will always kind of have like this. He can go back and basically he's a sort of dork that wants to know like,
But how many?
I've had this many Final Fours correct out of, you know.
I mean, that's a really cool stat to have.
Yeah.
I wonder how many tournaments he didn't track.
I think he said he started in middle school.
Jeez.
And he started keeping them in middle school, and then he had to go back and like do the, you know, but he found like a stack of them or something at one point in time and just like kept going off of it.
So I
kind of lucked into it.
A
younger version of him started saving it, and then like an older version of him realized what he wanted to do.
Yeah, this is what I'll actually do with it. It's sort of the same thing. So I made this spreadsheet of like Major League Baseball games
You were telling me about this
that I've ever been to in my life, but obviously I missed. So I started really doing this in 2012, and obviously I'd been to Major League games before 2012, but there's probably only, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 or something like that I missed. So I feel like this is a relatively comprehensive list. With I don't know, I must have missed one. I maybe haven't updated this in a couple of years, but I have the baseball reference box score link attached to it.
Nice.
Home starter, road starter, winning pitcher, losing pitcher, and save.
Incredible.
I don't know why.
Love it.
I don't know why I did this.
I love it.
I sat down and did this one day. I'm like, okay, this is a very dumb thing.
And so I have really good recall. It's probably one of the reasons that I was successful in the recruiting thing as I was, is that you have this plethora of information and I can just get there pretty instantaneously. One of the things that I've learned is that extends over from meaningless things like recruiting. It extends over to just memories of family vacations. But the way that I remember where we went and what year we went is which baseball park we hit.
Sure.
At that time.
That was a staple of the family truckster.
I look back on it now and it's like my mom and sister were more or less just like wherever my dad decided we were going to go, there was a baseball stadium within
100%.
driving distance of the central location of where we were going.
100%.
And so there was always a baseball game every summer. And so like one time I was talking to my mom and she's like, no, we did this. And I was, no, in 1998, we were definitely at the Metrodome because we also, and then it's like, she's just looking at me and she's like, why do you? And it's like, well, we went to multiple baseball games that summer and it was a home run chase. And we were in Old County Stadium and Mark McGuire flew out to the warning track and the Brewers fans were sad about it because they wanted the home run.
To see the home run.
And again, she's just looking at me like, why are you the way you are?
That is a great memory.
Why couldn't you have any useful skill at all?
Same story. We would drive to North Carolina most summers to visit my grandparents, and we would take a variety of different routes, no matter if it took us a day longer or 6 days longer or whatever it is. There was one time where we stopped on the way back. So we're almost home, and we stopped in St. Louis to watch the Cardinals play, and they flashed up. It was one of those. It was, I don't know. This is probably, well, I guess we could look up the year, mid 2000s, somewhere around there. And it was one of those not LED scoreboards that just had the lights on it still. And I think this is Old Bush. And it said, attention, the Cardinals have just acquired Larry Walker or something like that.
Well, then you could look that up. Like when did which I want to guess is like 2005.
I was thinking 2005 in my head.
Let's figure it out right now.
But I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I was trying to get opinions from people who were sitting around me. They were like, what? Oh my God, we just got
2004.
2004. Yep. That sounds exactly right.
37-year-old former MVP joins the star-studded Cardinals lineup.
So this is probably pre-deadline, like right before, or is it August? It may have been August.
It was August. It was post-deadline, so it was one of those waiver trades.
Yeah, one of those
that was like a thing at that time.
Yep.
And he helped them go to the World Series that year where they lost to the Red Sox. So that's wild. You mentioned something that also we had a conversation about something else that you said you'd have to be a dad to do that, and I agreed with you.
Indeed.
One of the things that you said there is that you took a different route to North Carolina all the time.
Yes.
How do you feel about, like, there's a known location, but you have like 4 different ways that you could go, and you could choose a different way every time? Because that's how my dad was driving to Lincoln From Columbus, there's like a
Oh.
lot of different.
Okay,
And
that's
so he
more
would take
annoying.
a different route.
That's more
every time.
That's more annoying than anything. I'm
I
talking
was-
about like long cross country
Sure.
road trips. Like we would see different parts of the country. There's only so much you could see on your way to from Columbus
His
to
whole thing
Lincoln.
was he's like, well, I don't want to go the same route home and the same route there, and so it's like he would.
Is that a dad move,
I
or
don't
is that
know.
just a your dad?
I
move?
think it's specifically my dad move. I don't think I have the same like. My vested interest in it is how can I get to wherever I'm going as quickly as possible. His was like, how do I not see the same farm land?
I will
each time,
occasionally,
even though it's really the same.
If I really have time, or if there's like a bad traffic situation on one of the I will take a different route, and it doesn't have to be just Highway 6, like going to Lincoln or whatever. You can go out on whatever Dodge and then just keep on going, and then you come out through Ceresco, just north of Lincoln, and you zip through there. That's not a bad route. That's not a horrible way to go to Lincoln, but it is definitely not the fastest.
So when I first moved to Omaha, Bennington, whatever, and it was my first game day that I'm driving over for Nebraska. So that would have been like the Akron game. And I didn't know, like, did I want to take 204th to the interstate? Did I want to take 204th to Highway 6? Did I want to take
this is an important moment.
204th to, and then I took this other route that I thought was going to help me avoid traffic, but like a few thousand other people also had the same thought. Yeah. And so it was not any faster.
There's nothing you could do.
On game day. Just go the simplest route on game day. Yeah. Like there's never a better solution.
Take the interstate. That's why the interstate exists.
Yeah. Right. Unless you have some back road shortcut that you and you alone know about. Everyone else knows the route.
Text. Wow, this is sort of mean. From the 515, texter writes in, imagine if someone had completed their bracket for every year Nebraska made the NCAA tournament. How rare would that be? Well, you'd only have 8 brackets or 9.
Maybe somewhere around, let's say you were born old enough to know it. So you'd be born in 85. So you'd be about 41 years old. And you'd have 8 brackets.
8 brackets. That's not enough.
Guessing you probably had Nebraska going at least one round in some of them.
Not enough to create a scrapbook out of it, probably. Unless you wanted the sadness scrapbook.
Full question: how many brackets needed for a scrapbook?
You would have had that one year they were a 3 seed. And
tell you what, though, if you only had a binder for when Nebraska made the NCAA tournament, when they win their first game this year, as they definitely are going to,
epic moment.
It'll be pretty cool when you flip to page 9 or whatever.
Hey, are you worried about if they get a 3, the curse of the 3 seed, because Nebraska has a history of being a 3 seed and losing?
No, not particularly.
I hadn't actually thought about it until this exact moment, and I wanted to bounce it off you.
I'm weirdly fairly calm about the first round because it's just, I don't think the type of team that's likely to be a 14 or a 13 or even a 12 is probably the closest. It has the sort of structure to
no, I don't think so either.
Take Nebraska out of their game entirely.
I think they're fine.
Then the other thing is these teams have to play Nebraska too. And that defense is not exactly something that you understand that you're getting until you're in the game that you're in. Mm-hmm. So maybe someone just shoots lights out and that can happen, but I'm kind of doubting it.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of doubting that the AQ that you're going to get in that spot is that good.
Yeah, I don't feel like there would be enough there. But I wanted to now. But maybe, admittedly, you're probably the wrong person to ask because you're generally pretty chill about these things. Maybe I should ask crazy Jack Mitchell.
You should ask Jake Sorensen.
Okay, that's a great idea. We need to write that question down for Friday. He's definitely thought about it a lot. He's probably talking about it right now.
It's wild because no one would consider me an optimist, but I refuse to allow my brain to think in the sense of devastation is definitely around the corner. Which, given the sports teams that I follow and root for,
you should be more
something I should be prepared for. But here we are.
Cody writes in on the text line. He says, I think it was a Columbus dad thing, taking different routes to and from Lincoln.
Yeah, it could be. It could just be a Columbus. The thing is, there's a lot of different
ways to get into
Lincoln.
How many routes do we have from Columbus to Lincoln?
Well, you could end up going to the interstate. You could take see, here's the thing about this. I don't even know what the highways are because I didn't have to learn them.
Okay.
You just sort of drive them. I think one of them's 92, Highway 92. there's a route that takes you through Seward. You can just go through Seward and get on Highway 34 and get into get into Columbus. You can go all the way to Wahoo or near Wahoo and then come in on 77. You could go to Seward and then cut over through Dwight and then north of Valparaiso or south of Valparaiso.
I see. Yeah, that's called 15.
Yep. And that's a route. You could just go to the turn to Valparaiso and then just go through Valparaiso. There's about 5 different ways.
There's some permutations too. Like you could almost take 2 routes at once as far as this map is concerned.
I guess I started a new one because I did this thing towards the end of my time of living in Lincoln that I would refer to as a loop. And I would go out one way and then come back a different way. So I didn't ever, it was like this continuous circle.
Okay. I like the logic there
of driving from Lincoln to Columbus.
That's definitely dad logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it really save me any time? Probably not.
Didn't make probably a difference at all. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's Tuesday here on Happer and Schaefer. We have many things coming today. Mitch Sherman will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Jacob Padilla will join us in the 9 o'clock hour. That is our lineup today. Elsewhere, we mentioned yesterday, I wanted to, talk a little bit more in depth about some of the things that Dana Holgorsen, Dana Holgorsen, Nebraska's offensive coordinator, had to say. And so we have some clips for you, and we'll let you be the judge while we'll also be the judge at the same time. There is a conversation about Nebraska and how much NIL money they have right now.
Yeah, this is kind of a continuing conversation that probably won't go away.
Yep.
I don't know that it needs to go away, but it's also there's a lot of facets to the whole conversation.
I agree. And so we'll get into a couple of those facets. Darren Peterson. We had another entry into the Darren Peterson show last night where he played 30 minutes and scored 14 points, and Kansas, who was kind of being left for dead after getting housed by Cincinnati over the weekend at home, wins against Houston, is now 41-0 on Big Monday under Bill Self.
Yeah.
And
Brent sent me a text last night, and it was basically just Bill Self is 4,974-0.
So we can get into like the Peterson thing, yes, but also how much of an enigma Kansas is. I mean, it's going to be a fascinating pick one way or the other.
Yeah.
I would say if you are one of those people who cares a lot about your bracket, maybe just try and thread the needle and keep them, get them to the second weekend maybe, and then just stop there. That way you don't lose so many points or gain too many points you could have.
See, I would almost go where you're either
one
going
way or
to
the other.
Yeah, it's 16 in blackjack. Like you're either going to have them go out very early, or you're taking them to the Final Four or beyond.
All right, well, you got to hit. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
What does that mean? So we'll talk about that a little bit. Also, I believe that ESPN has found the correct usage for Joe Lunardi. We'll get into what that means a little bit later on in the show. Is Nebraska basketball America's sickest team?
Sure feels like it.
It does.
Now, if
I'm
they can
worried
get it
about
all
them.
out of the way.
Maybe. This is another great Jake Sorensen question. Would you have everybody be sick right now to guarantee they're not sick in 3 weeks?
Are you willing to have Kendall Blues starting against Maryland? If it means now that game will already happen, unfortunately.
Also, we have I have a variety of different things. Schaefer, I mean, we talked about in the crossover yesterday with Matt, we talked about fast food. I have a topic that is related to that during today's show. I also have a list of television shows that are.
I saw this. I'm excited to.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to come in very cold.
Television shows that are at the top of the Nielsen ratings right now. And it's a very weird time to be watching either network television or just television in general.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that coming up in just a little while. Welcome to the show. Joey, good morning. Good morning, Joey.
Hey, it's
Good morning.
Joey.
Joey's here.
Good morning.
Joey was here the whole time.
What have you been cooking over there, Joey?
I've just been getting the odd news. I was calling it odd.
That's
odd
all right.
news.
It's a spin-off.
I'm looking at headlines, and there's some interesting things happening in Good old America.
Good
That's a
old,
tease, folks.
good old America. Well, we're excited that you are here and looking at the wacky news stories. All right, off and running on a Tuesday. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We are back after this on 1620 The Zone. You know, boxing used to be such a prestigious sport. And now every time I hear about boxing, it's about either a roided up guy fighting a random person off the street or two geriatric guys fighting each other for a giant payday who once famously fought 10 plus years ago now. Now this is the latest is Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are going to fight again in September. That's right. It's 2026. What is going on? Why?
I have this like feeling that I will not watch a boxing match in a long time without Bud Crawford fighting it.
You shouldn't.
I mean, his retirement, which I hope he just stays retired. Like, I don't want
don't come out and sully that.
Don't risk it.
Like, he's an amazing finish to his career. Everything that he needed to accomplish has now been done. Like there's nothing left for him.
I don't think he will, for the record.
No,
I think he's good.
The whole like built different. I think he is just different.
Yep.
He's different than all these other guys. I don't think he's going to be chasing the money in the way that Pacquiao clearly still is. Mayweather, I think. I mean, who knows? I don't know why Floyd is doing.
Didn't
this
he famously like lose a lot of money recently? Like
Floyd?
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, he's famous for gambling and obscene amounts of money.
Yeah, he is.
However, he's also just like made so much money that it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard for me to fathom that he would have a need for a payday.
Earlier this month, Mayweather filed a lawsuit against Showtime Networks, the co-producer of this first fight with Pacquiao, and the former president of Showtime Sports, alleging the company helped facilitate an extended fraud scheme that denied him roughly $340 million in earnings. Just a few weeks later, he announced his intention to return to professional boxing after taking on Mike Tyson in an exhibition bout this spring. What? That happened?
Yeah.
You thought Mike Tyson?
Wait, it already happened. I heard about it happening.
Oh, it's about to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was about.
So
to
he's gonna fight Mike Tyson and Manny Pacquiao.
Well, the Tyson one is like a sparring session as much as
it's gonna be that's gonna be in Saudi, I think.
Oh,
all of this is related to Saudi money, isn't it? Dude. Like, I mean, that's why a lot of these fights are even happening, because there's just like money being put up for it to occur. So it's like more money than they're willing to pass up to do it.
Headley writes in on YouTube, Happer, you just described the script to all the Rocky movies. That's kind of true. Maybe the Rocky movies were more prophetic than we gave them credit for at the time.
And at the time, they helped end the Cold War. So, I mean, it seems like their value couldn't have been higher. And
I don't think this will be solving any relations. But I got to imagine, like,
okay, so the Tyson Mayweather is going to happen on April 25th, 2026, and it's actually going to take place in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Oh, okay,
excellent.
So it's about 2 months from tomorrow.
So he can't be there. Creighton plays Butler that day.
So the next episode of Mike Tyson's Mysteries, we could figure out what happened to Floyd Mayweather's money. I was trying to make a joke.
Do you think this is what Nick Grimm
is? This like Ben Stein's money, or can you make a TV show out of all this stuff?
Joey, do you know that show?
Ben Stein's money?
No.
Incredible.
Wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, it was a show on Comedy Central.
We're going to be talking about
Jimmy
TV.
Kimmel got kind of his television start with that.
Yeah,
a long time ago. No, I was going to say the night before Nick Grimm gets married, is he going to be up watching Mayweather and Mike Tyson?
Almost for sure not. Almost for sure not. Nor should he be.
There's probably some F1 event that day.
I'm sure, or maybe they're
the sport
in their off season.
The sport F1.
The sport F1.
It's very much a sport. We don't think that it's anything different than that. But I just wonder how boxing people feel when every time a big thing like this comes up, it's an embarrassment to the sport. You know, like
you already have the
whole Jake. That's what I'm saying. Like every time I hear about boxing as a casual, it's either about Jake Paul or Mike Tyson old, Manny Pacquiao old, Floyd Mayweather old. Like,
yeah, I just don't know how many people.
It's clear. It's so clearly a money grab,
right?
And not that we haven't had money grabs in boxing throughout the history of time, because we certainly have, but it's so overtly a money grab,
right?
It's so it lacks any sort of entertainment value whatsoever, and yet people will watch it. I cannot explain. I cannot, on behalf of the public, explain why people have an interest in that.
I mean, I watched the first Pacquiao Mayweather. I remember that being like a huge deal because that fight had not happened, and
they were still old then, right? I mean, they were 40.
2016.
Yeah,
so it was just like I think it was on the same day as the Kentucky Derby. Maybe it was like an incredible game.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of like bets that I think, if I'm thinking of the right fight, that were tied between that fight and the Derby that happened that day. But here's my thing. I don't even know if you wanted to follow boxing anymore. Like it used to be on ESPN, you would have Fight Night or whatever. And then if you had HBO, you would get boxing that way too. I don't even really understand how one follows the sport anymore. Like I think you have to really work to do so. And then now with no local connection, I just don't have the interest in it.
No.
Like my interest was purely Bud Crawford, and
Same.
that was it. And it was fun when you would go to a Crawford fight and you would see like the undercard, but I never learned any of these people's names or, followed their career at all.
Great question and fair point from Headley on YouTube. Happer, what if the Saudis offered you millions of dollars to do a talk show talking about how incredible it is? Like the Saudis or the talk show?
I'm assuming the Saudis would offer you money to talk about how incredible the fight is.
Oh, the fight. Okay.
So they're basically hiring you to be propaganda for the fight.
How many? Let's see. You said millions of dollars. Yeah, I'd probably take it.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
Would we even need to get to millions for me to sell out? I'm not even sure.
What would be the lowest amount you would sell out for from the Saudis to specifically talk about this fight?
Oh man. Now I'm on the spot here. Now, assuming
it's pretty.
Do
low.
I have to go over? Am I staying here?
No, you continue on with your life as scheduled.
Okay.
Yeah, you just have to say like really good things.
How many shows? Or I just have to talk about it in positive terms.
Whenever it gets talked about, you have to talk about it in positive terms.
It's like an endorsement read.
Oh man.
Wait, and you have to hit like a bare minimum of like 10 mentions a week.
Oh.
So 2 per show.
I was gonna say, now we're getting pretty low.
But
like this all seems like very doable for me. Like I'm very willing to sell out on this for the money. I have bills, I have things to pay for.
Yeah, we all do.
I mean, shoot, like are we even 6 figures at this
I
point?
think you could get, you should whatever you're about to accept, you should like triple it and then say, all right, I'll the lowest I'll do is this. And the Saudis will say, okay, money is fake, and they'll give it to you.
I mean, I'll take $250,000 to basically
You got a deal.
just discuss in glowing terms this fight between Floyd Mayweather
Yeah.
and Manny Pacquiao.
It doesn't seem all
And
that
how we've all
taxing.
been sitting around wondering, well, hey, why was there never a rematch to this? Like we've gotten Happer and Schaefer
Now he's
before we
doing
got Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Now listen to him. He's not even making the money from the Saudis, and he's doing it. I can't believe we've had to wait this long for this excellent fight. Says Mike Schaefer.
Now, Saudis, if you're listening, my business account is.
I got the routing number handy for you. Right,
I accept
here.
Zelle.
You might have to in that specific case. Speaking of marketing, I think we have finally found the exact right thing for Joe Lunardi to do. Have you seen this? Have you heard about it?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen him like he's worn a lab coat or a white medical coat in videos before. Like he's kind of done some version of what you're describing here. So I've seen something like that.
He's making brackets, and every time he puts out his seed list and every time he puts out his bracket, it's like, oh, there's a mistake here, or I can't believe he had this team like 6 spots ahead of this team. The last seed list he put out, I think this is before the St. John's game. Like Creighton was still on the sheet. They weren't in the tournament, but they were like on the sheet. And I'm like, they don't belong on the sheet. And I think there was a mistake involving Nebraska in yesterday's bracketology that he put out as well. So, he might need to hand off the actual bracketing to a couple of his lackeys. With that being said, what will Joe Lunardi do after that? He doesn't do games or anything. He does what is the right use for Joe Lunardi? I say, and ESPN says, goofy, funny figurehead. So here is an example of what Joe Lunardi is going to be going forward. We need some sound, Joey. Is it there? Oh, wait.
Should be there.
Oh, wow. I'm not getting any sound. But basically, so I would have to re-download this video again. Wow. So this is what you're watching, if you're watching along with this on YouTube, is a spoof of a prescription medication commercial. And the disease that you are being diagnosed with is bracket brain, and you are being seen by Dr. Joe Lunardi, and he hands you a telephone with bracketology on it. It's the #1 treatment for bracket brain. And it does look quite a lot like a prescription medication commercial.
It really does. They did a very nice job with
to be
this.
quite honest with
He
you.
also just looks like he could be a doctor. Like I could accept if you saw him out in the wild.
So I think this is
That he could be a doctor.
I think this is the right move. He makes a couple appearances in this commercial, and it all, of course, is an advertisement for you to play ESPN's Bracket Challenge, which I have no opinion on whether you should one way or the other. You can find your bracket challenges wherever you may be,
and then print them out and start a bracket binder.
But this is a great move for Joe Lunardi. I think.
No, it is.
He should continue. He should continue to show up in the spoof videos, and that's what ESPN should do with him. And he could just retire on the brackets.
Yeah, I like it. I think they should keep having different ones in there. At the end, do they have like the 15,000 side effects?
They didn't have as many as I wanted them to, because you know how they are now. If you actually watch one of those commercials, it's like 2 seconds of actual talking and 58 seconds of side effects, which is absurd. I oftentimes don't know what the medication is for. I think they use the same stock B-roll for most of it. Just people playing on rolling green hills.
I think they have to like change
your
those
life
things
back.
up though, because my brain, when I recognize that one of those commercials is happening, my brain just like shuts off. It won't pay attention to the commercial. It has no idea what is happening. At the very end, I'll catch the end of one of the side effects that'll cause dizziness or whatever else.
Will you often pick out one of the side effects and say, boy, I really don't want that?
Yeah. I mean,
those sound pretty severe.
Like there's just some that are like, taking this medication will essentially cause vertigo. It's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's fun. I want to be like laying on the floor because I can't move.
It may make you tired and sleepy all the time. At the same time, this is an elective medication that you probably don't need. Would you like it? Here it is. Here's some people. They're really happy.
And if I do think about the commercials, I actually spend a lot more time than necessary judging the people that are in the commercials as to whether they're like have functional lives, whether it's a debilitating thing that they have, and then it's at that point, I'm questioning what I'm even doing with my own life. There's that.
Theo writes in on YouTube, Severe's bracket greater than March Madness.
I think I was in a matchup yesterday.
Have you advanced? Survive and advance, Schaefer. It's all about matchups this time of year.
You were leading last I checked.
Have I gone through my second matchup yet?
No, I think we're still first round for these.
Okay.
In a lot of ways.
All right.
So
all right.
Nope, mine is still very much.
Oh, you got to vote for yourself, Schaefer.
Should we vote?
Yeah, vote for yourself.
I'm voting for
you
myself.
Have a good lead.
It's I think I'm safe. I think I have a commanding lead.
And you are beating Jacob Padilla.
Oh wow.
Oh,
I think, right? The Nebraska Preps post game.
Hopefully he hold that against me.
And Jacob Padilla is coming up today on the show, so you guys will duke it out like Pacquiao and Mayweather.
Well, Celtics and Suns are tonight as well. So we'll be fighting tonight as well.
I was going to say Schaefer doesn't have an NBA team, but yes, I forgot you like the Celtics. How can I?
I almost wore a Sonics hat.
It's not the only matchup for Jacob Padilla against the Happer and Schaefer show.
That's true. Podcast, NBA.
What would you guys squabble over?
Great question. I don't think he has he definitely doesn't care at all about baseball.
Sure.
He did famously say roll Jays, go baseball once. So that was funny. I don't know. We'll have to find something that we could pick at with that.
So everything I know about Jacob in terms of his interests and what he likes can be summed up by high school sports, or specifically high school basketball.
Well, he's a prep guy and I'm a Central guy.
Okay, that's something.
I don't think they play each other tonight. I did see Central won last night on in dramatic fashion.
Have they been playing better basketball as of late?
They're like a top 10, type of deal.
Yeah.
They're in the mix.
But the other things that I know is like the Suns, the Packers, Creighton, and a lot of high school basketball. And he does love volleyball. I feel like that's
He definitely
another
loves volleyball.
another aspect of him. But that's about the extent of it. I need to learn more about Jacob Padilla.
Well, let's
I'm gonna
learn
start
more.
asking him non-sports related
Okay,
questions.
you get one a week to find out.
I love this.
Find out more about
learn
Jacob.
more.
To learn more.
This is great.
And he'll just be like, I don't know.
Probably.
Which is what
He
I'm
won't,
excited
he won't
for.
give you an answer.
All right, so stay tuned for that coming up all the way at 9:15 this morning. But let's step aside. We'll take a quick break. I have a topic for Mike Schaefer. Let's play a game of how many of these television shows have you heard of? I am looking at a list of the Nielsen ratings over a 35-day period on television. And I saw the list and I said, what happened to our TVs? So we're going to say what shows they are, and Mike Schaefer will say what he knows about them. Coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, folks, this is it. If you head online, 1620thezone.com right now, this will be your final day to get in our Get Your Bleep Together 5K sweepstakes. So
Not even related to the Saudis at all.
no, not even a little bit.
Yeah. You don't have to talk about Mayweather Pacquiao.
And you don't have to do anything. All you have to, well, just go to the
do
website.
a couple things. You have to get to a web
1620thezone.com
browser
and
then.
enter your email.
There.
And that's it.
Then you're done.
And there's no blood money. It's all real stuff. You get a real life check from us.
Go win $5,000.
Excellent. Okay. So we'll have a little bit later. I'm sort of disappointed. I want to spread it out because we have a television topic today that I wanted to put on there, and we have a fast food topic based on a graphic that was going around yesterday. I wish the fast food topic had been more popular to talk about tomorrow, but we'll maybe get to them both today. So I saw this going around yesterday. Matthew Baloney. It's always a guy named Matthew Baloney. He's real. He's a real life person. He is a founding
Balloney.
Belloni.
Okay.
Belloni. I think that's the only way that you would
Baloney.
pronounce. Yeah. Baloney. Anyway, he's not Baloney. He's a real life person, and he is the founding partner of Puck.
Could it be Billany?
Belloni? No, it's Baloney.
Okay.
It's got to be Baloney. Anyway, he had a screenshot yesterday of the top 20 television shows in ratings. Just total people watching these shows over the last 35 days.
Oh no.
So we are in I think, Schaefer, you could comment on this more. We might be in a little bit of a rut as far as, especially, prestige TV
Sure,
right now.
yeah.
There's not a lot going on right now. There's definitely not. There hasn't been a Sunday show that I sat down and watched since Pluribus. I guess that was a Friday night.
Right. And
Severance before that.
so it just depends on if you're in on the pit or industry, both of which I like quite a bit. But they're not anywhere near the level.
They're not talked about as much as the other two.
They're not a communal watching
The one time, the one that I really miss is Succession.
Yeah.
Which has probably been 2 years gone now at this point. Sadly,
Yeah, it has.
probably been about 2 years. Anyway, so we have a little bit of a hole there as far as television is concerned, and I just think it's funny to see all these shows that I have never heard of that are on network television. People still watch network television, folks.
I'm trying to think of the last show that I watched on network television, specifically for the show. Not that I just ended up there because it was after a football game.
It was probably The Office.
It
is probably The Office.
It does feel like it's one of those types of
which
shows.
which ended more than 10, 12 years ago now.
About 2013-ish.
So
We're old.
Why?
It might be The Office. Parks and Rec finished after that.
Yeah.
So that probably ended in 16 or 17, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's probably Parks and Rec for me as well, but that's nuts.
Still quite some time ago, which has happened more recently. You've watched a Netflix or you've watched a network television show, or the Chicago Cubs have won a World Series. I know. I'm sorry. That was a little.
That's fine. That's
All
fine.
right. So number one on the list over the last 35 days, most people have been watching by a wide and significant margin, which this has a whole nother thing attached to it. I don't really understand it. Stranger Things. People love watching Stranger Things.
Oh, so this will include streaming.
It will
as well.
include Netflix.
Okay,
Yes.
I am familiar with Stranger Things. I never got.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, I watched the first 3 seasons, and then I was like, I don't need this anymore.
It became a phenomenon, which I just I guess I didn't really see coming. And then it took an 8-year break, and then her several year break,
yeah.
and then it came back, and people are all over it.
Part of the problem for me is every episode is a movie level commitment. almost. And I just don't have that time.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to invest it in something that I'm only halfway interested in just because like the rest of society is very into it. So I just like pulled the ripcord. I'm out.
Okay. So the second most watched thing right now, this is also a Netflix thing. Sean Combs, The Reckoning.
I have not watched any P. Diddy related content.
Everybody loves a good documentary.
I do love documentaries.
The documentary days, the hot spot for documentaries is seemingly we're dying down from the Last Dance era of just documentaries on top of documentaries on top of documentaries. But people will still watch them every now and again.
Well, we're in a different era of documentaries where they're not exactly documentaries
they're just
so
PR,
much as they're just like propaganda-esque from people that have very strong creative control over their own message.
Yeah, I don't care if it was propaganda or not. I love The Last Dance. That was an incredible show.
You remember Tab yelling at you about that?
No.
I had this thought.
I remember a lot of things that Tab yelled at me for, but not that.
I had this thought the other day because I was reading. There's a couple, famous documentarians that were discussing about just basically the death of documentaries because nobody is ceding creative control anymore. And so it's not really a documentary if you're producing it. And I remember Tab, like, we were talking about The Last Dance and how entertaining it was. And Tab's like, he has total creative control. Like, we're not getting it.
And I predictably said, I don't care.
Yeah, basically. And then he was like yelling at you about how you should care. And I'm just sitting over here like, oh, hey, it's my turn to be the quiet one while these guys are going at each other.
Classic Syracuse Tab caring about
classic. What did you do last night?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was a tough time. We had full hour-long breakdowns on Last Dance. On The Last Dance on that show.
We were doing radio in COVID.
It was a weird time. We also had a segment famously called What Did You Do Last Night? And then I think we had another one called What Will You Do Tonight? Or something.
Probably. This is everyone's precursor for What's for Dinner.
All right, so this is where we get into the fun stuff.
All right.
Number 3, almost 20 million people over the last 35 days watched, and I don't believe there's currently new episodes going on, but they watched old episodes on Paramount Plus of Landman.
Okay. I've watched both seasons of Landman. The first season, great. Second season, it starts to dip.
Okay, so we're 3 for 3 so far, which is not surprising. Here we go. Number 4. This is a live on right now network television show on CBS called Tracker. Have you heard of Tracker?
I have seen the previews for Tracker.
People are watching Tracker.
I want to say it. No,
I've definitely never seen it. I have heard of it. I have no clue what it's about other than tracking.
It's and it's like I can't remember if it's tracking. It's not tracking like necessarily missing people.
Okay,
but I want to say it has something to do with like a national park or
Joey. What's Tracker about?
Ranger.
Give me a quick Google.
I'm looking it up right now.
Well, we got to find out what this is about. All right, TV show number 5. This is also a network television show, number 5 over the last 35 days. High Potential. High Potential.
Pretty sure this has the wife of Rob McElhenney.
Oh yeah.
And
her.
I can't think of what she does in it either. I've heard of the show. I've seen the previews. I have not committed to caring.
That's better than me. Any news on Tracker, Joey?
Okay, it's about a skilled survival risk.
Survivalist
who roams the country in his RV, helping police and private citizens solve mysteries to collect rewards.
Okay, that sounds right.
Okay,
that sounds accurate. All right, show number 6. This is on Amazon. People are streaming old episodes of the show Fallout, which is a video game.
Oh yeah,
they made a
I've never watched
about.
I've heard of it.
It has Walton Goggins.
Okay,
that's
a
probably
draw.
the most notable thing to me.
2 Netflix shows, 7 and 8, with just about 13 million watchers over the last 35 days apiece. Monster, the Ed Gein story.
The serial killer. Serial killer show, basically.
Okay.
It's based on a real serial killer named Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, I apologize to the serial killer. Beast in Me,
The Beast in Me, I've
the
watched.
Beast in Me. It says Beast in Me, comma the Beast in Me. I assume.
So I've watched this. It has Matthew Reese in it. He's from The Americans, if you've ever watched that. Claire Danes from Homeland or from Romeo and Juliet from way back in the day.
Look at you.
With Leo DiCaprio. She is she's an author that's written one book that lost a child and is living in this estate in the Northeast. And next door moves to her someone that
Look at you, Schaefer.
potentially is a murderer, but it's unclear. He was never brought up on charges because charges were never brought. There wasn't enough evidence. And she's asked if she wants to write his biography.
So you've seen most, well, I mean, obviously people know about most of the Netflix things. Now we go into a category from about 9 through 15. I want to go through the rest of these pretty quick.
Okay.
Of shows
I'll be fast.
that if you watch any or all of these shows, you are likely above 65 years old.
Okay.
All right. Number 9, CBS network television. Over 12 million people in the last 35 days watched Matlock.
I mean, obviously
Matlock.
heard of it. I've not watched the new version of it.
Number 10, Sheriff Country.
What?
I'm familiar with the yes.
Feels like a Yellowstone.
Is there a fire country on this list?
No, but interesting.
Because that exists. Sheriff Country derives off of Fire Country.
These are all CBS shows, by the way.
America's Most Watched Network.
There's a reason why, because they make a lot of garbage shows. Ghosts.
I know people that watch it. I haven't seen it.
60 Minutes, which awesome, great
News
show.
program, yeah.
Boston Blue.
That's the one with Tom Selleck.
Boston Cops.
I'm like 99% sure that has Tom Selleck.
NCIS, still rocking.
That's NBC, I think.
It says CBS. Maybe they changed over networks.
Maybe I'm thinking of one of the SVUs.
NBC's Chicago Fire at 15.
My wife, big fan of these shows.
Now, no sign of Chicago Med or Chicago PD
Yeah,
or
she loves
Chicago.
Or Chicago Sanitation or Chicago Parks and Rec.
Chicago Port
Utilities
Authority.
Department. Yeah.
Chicago
Port Authority.
They need to move these shows to Hammond.
Chicago Great Lakes Port Authority. What a show.
Here's a fun one for you at 16. I believe this is another spin-off of the Big Bang Theory, George and Mandy's First Marriage.
Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage.
Yeah, it's a spin-off from Young Sheldon as well. Another.
This is 10 million people.
Yeah.
10 million people. Dancing with the Stars, Wayward, a Netflix show, Elsbeth, a CBS show, and hilariously at number 20, a Netflix show called Nobody Wants This.
That has oh gosh, what is her name? Kristen Bell and the guy from the OC. The
You got me.
Name.
Tom.
It's gone.
Steve.
It's gone. He's in the OC. I can't think of his name.
That's what's going on.
Adam
in
Brody.
Television. Oh,
Adam Brody. Yeah.
good job.
I thought of the last name was Brody. I couldn't come up with the first name.
That's what's going on in television these days, folks. We need a good prestige TV show.
I know a lot about these shows for not having watched
you do.
many of them.
You do. You're well.
I'm
You're
significantly
well-read.
more well versed in television land than I am in like reality celebrity land.
And there is a reason why CBS is America's most watched network. We learned that today. Home of Tracker, Matlock, Sheriff, Country, Ghosts, 60 Minutes, Boston Blue, NCIS, Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, and Elsbeth. You could watch
I
all
don't know
those
what
shows.
Elsbeth is. That's
No.
the only one that I have no
We gotta
no
look into
idea.
that. When we come back, we'll hear from Dana Holgerson from Thursday, and we'll dive deeper into some of his comments that are making the rounds. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, time to trigger Michael Sevier some more and talk about Dana Holgorsen.
I never got a chance to go listen to that audio.
I listened to the first. I listened to the first couple minutes. I don't think he misrepresented us in any way.
No. I don't think that he would have either. It's just funny to get that text like, "Hey, Severe's going after you right now," and it's like, I don't have any thoughts on Formula One.
He's not. Michael wasn't going after us. He was just commenting on what he believes about the offense and other things as it pertains to Nebraska football. And so I pulled some Dana Holgorsen clips from the other day so we could actually hear them and then sort of react to them as well. Here's a tweet first from Andrew on the Twitter feed. He tweets at Happer and Schaefer, which you could do and you're encouraged to do, by the way. Holgorsen has me so confused with what the offensive staff is doing. I never want my OC to say he doesn't know what offense they're going to run, especially going into spring practice when that stuff is supposed to be implemented and taught. I think there is a conversation to be had here about, the push and pull of that. Because we'll play the clips here in just a second. Like, I think there is, there's a balance that you have to achieve between having a system and doing a little bit of square peg and round hole, like, right? We have to know what we're going to do, but also, how often do we say this? You want any of your coaches to take the talent and personnel that you have and create something that makes sense based off of their strengths and abilities, like you do. And so those two things are sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum. And you have to find the right balance for you. And, obviously that's what Dana Holgorsen is trying to do. So here was the comment that made the rounds last week quite a lot. Did you learn anything from last season, Dana Holgorsen? Here he is.
I'm doing this 33 years now. Pretty much seen it all. Do you know the offense better? I mean, we're constantly just tweaking things and tweaking things and tweaking things to where it's not foreign, so. But no, I thought we made strides last year. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but, I thought we made strides, and there were some things that went wrong that set us back and didn't detour me and what I think this offense is capable of.
Okay, so here is Dana. Sorry, Joey. I don't know which which stream thing I need to go back into after this. I'll get used to it. Okay, it's that one. And I don't mean to make you change it all the time. But then, because we'll go right back to the clips here. Here he is sort of like defending, what he's talking about here is not wanting, in my opinion, this is how I read it anyway, him not wanting to square peg and round hole the offense. Here is Holgorsen sort of, defending, all right, we're going to go into this not really, knowing what we're going to be about.
Back when I was an air raid guy, we had a specific system, and it was going to be that system. Okay, now that hasn't been the case since probably 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. That's when we started doing more stuff to try to figure out what we did best. I changed our offense drastically from 2015 to 2014 to 2015 when a guy by the name of Skyler Howard was our starting quarterback. He was a runner and he was a deep ball guy. That's what he did good, so that's what we majored in. So figure out what you guys do good and be a smart enough coach with a good enough system to be able to go down whatever direction you got to go down. And that's what I've prided myself on for the last 15 years.
Okay. And so off face, like, I don't think I have any problem with that, right? That sounds like a reasonable thing to do. And so to go back to, where, us and Sevier kind of went back and forth without directly talking to each other yesterday, we were talking about how it doesn't seem like a Dana Holgorsen offense. And Sevier's response was like, it hasn't been, quote unquote, Dana Holgorsen's offense for a long time. It hasn't been the air raid for a long time. And Dana obviously, said the same thing yesterday. And if I'm to sort of alter what I said just ever so slightly, I don't know what a Dana Holgorsen offense is. That's the point. When I look at what Nebraska's doing, I can't tell who they're trying to be and what they're trying. Like, that's what I want. So I want a little bit of a system. I don't need them to do air raid. I just want to know what they're about, and I do think you want to have some semblance of that, even if you didn't know your personnel, so that you could recruit to it, so that you could get players in who fit it and you're able to do it well. And I just feel like it's been kind of throwing stuff up against the wall for a couple of years here on offense.
Yeah. So I definitely get and understand his point that you adapt to the personnel that you have, which makes a ton of sense. Here's the problem, though. You went out and you got a quarterback in Anthony Calandria that you knowingly go pick his skill set. Like, you're picking through a pile of quarterbacks and you're determining which quarterback you want based on how their skill sets work with the personnel you already have. So while it is true that you're going to marry what you're attempting to do with what you have, it also has to make sense that you go get a guy in Anthony Calandria that fits everything else that you have. Otherwise, it doesn't work that way either.
And so I don't know, like on Calandria, it's his skill set is so we use the word volatile. I think
Sure.
we used a lot of different words yesterday, but volatile is one of the words we used. Yeah, has a history of turnovers and explosive plays both for his team and against his team. I don't know what they're trying to fit him to.
Sure.
Right. And so it seems like from listening to Dana, they're in the process of trying to figure that out right now. Like, what does he work? And once again, like from a pragmatic, like functional football standpoint, I get that. That's what spring ball's for.
Sure.
You're trying to figure out what you do well and who you are. I just wish they had a little bit more of a structure that these players entered into before you're just like, hey, here's a bunch of guys and let's figure out what we do.
If you're taking Dana at his own words and he's talking about Skylar Howard, and it sure seems like when he mentions that, he says runs around and can throw deep. I mean, if that's effectively what it is that they see from Calandria, and that's going to be a big part of your offense, okay, great. That's why you went out and you get a Quasi Gilmer. That's why you have Isaiah Hunter. That's how you're going to utilize, Anthony Calandria. My bigger question is, okay, how are you marrying that to your team as a whole? Because this is the whole thing with last year that drove me insane, or even 2024. And it's like, if your team is going to be built around your offense, then you have to score points because you didn't invest enough on your defense to keep the points down. So, like, there has to be a certain level of what you're trying to get to points-wise or whatever else. And it hasn't felt like Nebraska has somehow figured that out. Like, you can't be good at everything, especially if, we're getting
it's a math equation. You have to, like, if turnovers are a part of Calandria's game, which they have been in his past, then Nebraska has to do the math on the other side and figure they have to get more turnovers. Sure. They didn't get hardly any turnovers
they
on
already
defense.
Want to do anyways, regardless of who's at quarterback. It's just, when we have that conversation about Iowa knows what it is, their offense is going to be married to the defensive style of they're going to grind you out. They're going to control the ball. They're going to limit possessions. They're going to play through their defense. They're going to do this, and this, all in the sake of trying to win a game. I don't understand 4 years in what Matt Rule's aim is to do that. Yeah. Because when you say you want to be multiple, when you want to marry to the players that you have, when you want to do this, when you want to do that, you have two different sides. You have your defense, which couldn't stop the run last year, which struggled to get off the field, which was going to give up points in the 20s, and you couldn't marry it with an offense that could put up points in the high 20s or in the 30s. Like, at some point, you have to figure out how you're going to get the two sides to play together. Now, when Matt Rule was winning at Baylor, a lot more playing through his defense, some ball control with that. You have Charlie Brewer, who's, effective, but he's not going to be a dominant force as your quarterback. You're not putting up 50-some points a game.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
You're trying to use your athletes in space, all of these different things. But I'm still just waiting for, like, when this is what they are, because I still don't think we have any idea.
They're on a really, you could tell after year one. right? It's like, this is going to be a defense first program. And some of that was out of necessity because of what you didn't have at quarterback and all that stuff. And then I just thought, hey, you're still going to be that. And then add Dylan Raiola to the equation and like,
And the way that he
beat
plays,
Iowa with Dylan Raiola. And
where
I'm
it's really safe and everything else, it's like, oh, you should have a really good special teams with it. And if you had that in 24, maybe you're having a different conversation about all of this. But it's just like they do some of it and then not the other part of it.
And I think it's, I think it's pretty well exemplified, just the sort of volatility of it and the like, I don't really know which direction we're going or which direction we want to go, evidenced by they took a commitment out of the transfer portal from Kenny Minchie, who was going to be their starting quarterback, no doubt about it. And he was one type of player I would not view now, less experience aside, but what you hear about him and what you watch on film of him, he seems like a little closer to Dylan Raiola on the safety to danger scale, right?
On the volatility scale?
On the volatility scale, he's closer to Dylan Raiola than he is anybody else, or, Anthony Calandria. And then Anthony Calandria is way on the other side of that scale. Those are two vastly different players. And like, you shifted in a matter of 3 days. Some of this is just what's at your fingertips and what happens to you in the transfer portal. But I would have thought if they took the commitment from Minchie, they would have started to kind of build the idea of like, all right, this is what we want to be on offense. And they would have got a quarterback after Minchie left that was similar to Minchie.
Sure.
But they did not. They got they got Oppo Minchie.
And they would argue that Minchie would be more dangerous in what they want to do, and he would run more than what you've seen on film and all of these other things. I don't know if any of that's true.
He never felt like he was going to be a super explosive quarterback, and I was fine with that, as long as he didn't turn the ball over and he doesn't have a history of it.
And then, this gets into the conversation about running backs. If you're going to build your offense to play through your defense, like you should invest in a good running game and a good offensive line. And it's taken them several years with their offensive line. And then they chose not to invest in running back this offseason.
Mustache Adam writes in on YouTube, how much does a lack of cohesion on the type of quarterback they have play into this? I mean, think about it. Harburg, and then the skeleton Frankenstein combination of Sims, Harburg, and Chuba in 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dylan and now Calandria. Those are all very different. except for the back-to-back Dylan years.
It's interesting because in there you have two transfer quarterbacks effectively in Sims and Calandria that you could sort of argue are similar. So maybe that's what they're always kind of looking for is playmaking.
I don't know what they're looking for.
Playmaking quarterback. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Bottom line is I want them. I understand this want and desire to be well versed in everything and be multiple, like you've said a million times, Schaefer. But I would just much rather, as Nebraska's trying as desperately as they can to get this thing off the ground, I would just really rather they try to get good at a couple things first.
Well, and then you build that off of that foundation.
Major in your major, and then go from there.
I enjoyed him using the word major for that. that did make me laugh.
Don't worry so much about your minor or all the other crap that's going on. Like, get good at the stuff you're going to get good at. And to his point, like, he doesn't know what they're going to be good at, and they're trying to figure out. But I do think you want to have that baked into the cake as a principle before you even set out and like, all right, here's some things that we're going to be good at.
Well, that's the chicken and the egg of this whole thing. It's like, okay, are you building your offense for next year entirely off of whatever players you get out of the portal and what you have on the roster? Or are you building your offense off of how you want it to look and run? And so you get certain types of players that fit that.
Yeah.
Because, and it's always going to be some level of combination, but we don't even know what the second is.
Well, exactly. And
we only know of the first because they had to go get things.
Speaking of the chicken and the egg thing, I mean, I think that will come up when we talk about NIL after a little bit here too. So stay tuned for that conversation. But want to hear from you guys, 402-951-1620. To the phones we go this morning. Here's Ryan. Ryan, thanks for calling. What's up?
Oh, you guys aren't I wasn't excited for Nebraska football, but you guys aren't helping my situation.
Sorry, Ryan.
I had a quick question here. It's probably already been touched on, and maybe I just kind of sitting here thinking somebody's probably brought it up. But why is it that every assistant, and this goes back to Eckler, White, Butler, Knighton, why is it every assistant that leaves Nebraska? I'm trying to think of anybody else. I think that was it. Why is it that every assistant that leaves Nebraska, they seem to have a sour taste in their mouth, or it seems like they have some animosity towards Rule? I mean, I wonder I guess I don't know what's going on. It's kind of that's kind of a red flag to me.
Yeah, fair question. Thanks for the call, Ryan. Appreciate it. I think every situation is different, first of all. I mean,
I don't recall anything that Tony White would have said that.
No, but there was always a conversation about, like, it did get a little stale at the end for and there was always the conversation of, like, who's kind of in charge here.
Well, as soon as Phil Snow was brought in November, the writing was so much on the wall.
And that carried through the Butler thing. So that's also responsible for that.
And then there was the whole conversation in 23 when White's name was brought up as head coaching, and Matt Rule was talking about, like, how he was telling him, you want to look for the right job, or all of those different. So it always felt like White was going to be moving on in a short amount of time anyways. When Knighton left with him, I think that caught people by surprise, because Knighton was perceived to be a Matt Rule guy because Matt Rule brought him over from Carolina. And then Knighton's had some weird interactions on Twitter with both his current team now at Florida State, with previous, like, basically
he's just a little active
perpetually
on
online leads to, things.
Agreed. And then there's Eckler, which is a little separate from all of them, I guess.
Which is you kind of made the point, like yesterday when you play you read the quote of what he says when he gets here about Matt Rule, and then you kind of go into like what he's saying about Lincoln Riley, like, just sort of in his experience of constantly moving jobs, there's probably a mental process of you just buy fully into where you're at and you don't think about how it sounds or what you've said before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the best way to do that job.
Either
if we're
that,
honest.
or when he got to USC, obviously there was some feelings on both sides.
Sure.
When he didn't come back. But I think there's probably part of him that wanted to say a couple of things, and then ended up doing so. So I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit isolated, but there's I don't know if it's like a full on trend, but Rule coaches hard. I mean,
I think that's the big thing.
He asks a lot of the people who work for him.
If you work for Matt Rule, he will get every ounce of your time and your effort that he possibly can, because that's what he expects from you if you are willing to take the job. And these guys are paid and compensated at a really high level, and that's part of the whole thing. Like, you're paid X. The expectation is that you're going to do as much possible work as you can for us to get where we want to go. Yep. And it's not like I don't think it's a nefarious thing or a bad thing. It's just that he really grinds and works. And, like, here's the thing. He's probably not asking these guys to put in any more time than he's doing himself. He's just asking you to meet him where he's at. And he's a worker.
I just think it all that's true. And because of that, it probably burns a little hot over there.
Oh yeah.
And
he expects results, because whatever pressure he's feeling externally, he's probably applying internally.
The thing where I think it sort of gets, as far as, I guess there's not clear examples of this because it's all like behind closed doors stuff. When he came here, he was, just how I viewed him, a very steady, I'm going to be the same guy every day, no matter what. We're not going to go here. We're not going to go here. We're just going to be boom, 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 boom every day. And now that the pressure has kind of ramped up a little bit,
it hasn't worked.
I don't feel that. I wish he was back to his, I'm this guy.
Well,
every
nothing
single
about
day.
his time here has been steady. I mean,
It hasn't been
that's part
steady.
of it.
And that's like, I think
So
that
he's adapted as he's had to because it hasn't,
but the message, like, I don't know if it's gotten inconsistent during that time, or maybe it is consistent, but the pressure and the intensity of it is just higher. And that's where you get the coaches sort of, the churn and
Mhm.
and all that stuff. So, like, yeah,
I
don't know. There's a lot of stuff in there.
I don't know if this is it. Maybe this is something we prompt here and we get into later today or later this week. But I think there's also a conversation to be had that there's a certain level of expectation at Nebraska because of what Tom Osborne was and where the sort of success came, that those guys never left, that there was coaches that stick around for a really long time. I don't think we're in that era of college football anymore, anywhere. I think people
Heavy
have to
churn.
be more accepting, myself included, because I had my own reaction to when everything sort of changed and the word reset got used, and I just violently rejected the idea that there's a reset.
You handshake me, Matt Rule.
Well, yeah, and he hadn't used the word reset, but people were using it, and I am not accepting that this happens in year 4. Whatever other terminology you want to use, you don't get to reset.
You don't get to start over
When you're
in
in your
terms of
4th year.
expectations. No.
You might have to sort of retool or whatever you want to use.
That's a great January conversation.
But you don't get to reset. And so all of it to say, like, I think some of it is we just have to be prepared that the coaching staff continuity isn't going to be the same year over year, especially when you have a coach for every position. I mean, these guys are just going to move on. I mean, we got to update our staff thing over here.
No, I did pretty good on that, I think.
We're missing some.
Yeah, we're definitely missing a couple. By the way, Corey Brown and Roy Manning, and I believe one other will be speaking today, right?
Look at that.
Post practice. I gotta go back to my
emails. Today's the first post practice access of the spring so far.
Schedule for the week. Oh no, I'm sorry. This will be tomorrow. Brett Maher, Corey Brown, Roy Manning will speak.
All right.
There you go. We'll have that for you on Thursday. All right.
Brett Maher.
Well, he's back, folks.
He is back.
I want to hear from you guys. 402.
Do you think the first question for Brett Maher will be, will Matt Rule be sitting in any of your meetings?
Yes.
I think that's going to be in the first 2 or 3
Would you like him to? Would that be fun if he did? All right. Want to hear from you guys. You could tweet at us, leave us an email, ConnorMike1620thezone.com. We can get to a couple of those. I also would like to talk a little college basketball. Things have changed over the last week. Why not a little college basketball power rankings with tiers? Up next on 1620 The Zone. Mike Schaefer spent 3 minutes during the break naming people, and we were trying to think. I don't know.
To be fair, that's how we spend a lot of our breaks.
He was doing old Columbus baseball players.
No.
Okay.
I was naming. First of all, something happened, and you were annoyed by something.
Yes.
And it led to me saying I didn't think I could name any Creighton volleyball players. And then you were aghast. And then I
named a bunch
trying to defend myself by saying I couldn't really name volleyball players that didn't play at Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were trying to name a few, and it went poorly.
And then you tried to start naming Creighton baseball players.
And then I said I could name 2 Creighton baseball players, and one of them had a Columbus connection.
Right.
And that was basically the extent of it.
And then we were trying to figure out what year they graduated high school.
Yeah, well, and then it turned out you had a connection to the Creighton baseball player from Columbus. And I mentioned that another one from Columbus that same graduation year.
I guess that was my.
I played high school baseball, both of those guys. So that's how we got there.
There you go. That's the story of the break. Now, wake up, Joey. Schedules. Please tell us what's going on and how important it is.
Well, this is important because it's the game in Munich, Germany, and this determines a team-specific bye week because it usually happens for those who plays in the great country of Germany. But anyway,
who's playing in Germany?
It is announced that
Joey very pro Germany.
Interesting.
It is announced that the Detroit Lions will be a participating team for the game in Munich.
Okay.
They didn't say if they were the designated home team, so they are designated, or they are the participating team playing in the Germany game.
So when's the actual schedule come out? Is it March?
It's
May.
It's going to be mid-May, so probably May 13th. Usually that second
so
Wednesday.
They'll just leak all these games before then.
They'll usually
the international games get leaked.
Yeah, they leak out the hosting teams first for the international games. Then they'll gradually piece the schedule together as we get closer to May.
Looking forward to it.
But yeah, the Detroit Lions are playing in Germany.
Will Dan Campbell be calling plays at this point in Germany?
That's a good question.
He'll remove himself by that point.
So that'll be a second Sunday in November game. So that'll be in week 9 at the middle point of the season.
That'll be about the time where he needs to pull the string, and he had already fired a new offensive coordinator, and then he took it over.
I think they did,
and then he fired himself.
Man, I would like to see more Dan Campbell calling plays.
It'll be interesting to see who the Lions play in Germany because they have their 4th place schedule. They famously finished last in the NFC North. Should be interesting.
But they also finished with a winning record because everyone in the NFC North finished over 500.
Yeah, that
a
is
great
true.
division, including the Vikings.
And 9.
And we love 9, folks. All right. Quick college basketball power rankings with tiers here. We've had quite the amount of movement over the last several days. Duke and Michigan played each other. Houston has lost a couple times. Arizona got one on the road and got a big win. Iowa State lost. UConn, like all these teams, and then there's movement all over the place, including last night where Houston lost to Kansas at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Here's who's in my very cool kids club. The very cool kids are these: Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, and UConn. And Schaefer, your line here is UConn? What?
Yeah, I don't understand it. I was texting you yesterday that I didn't understand how UConn lost to Creighton and then got a 1 seed, according to Joe Lenardi.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the point is, you're supposed to not pay attention to what Dr. Lenardi is talking about.
Well, he's talking.
He most certainly is. So here's my thing with UConn. Whether you like it or not, I have to include some sort of track record, right? I use the same argument for the teams I argue against, like Illinois in the NCAA tournament. I just have to see it happen before it happens, right? I can't trust them because until further notice, there's just this combustible ability about Illinois. For UConn, it's exactly the opposite. Yes, they have some prestige as a program. Obviously, they're very, very talented. They're one of the best teams in the country, wherever you'd like to put that line. But I think that this is a program that I sound like a UConn fan. This is a program that has championship pedigree, and they have shown before that they could flip the switch come March, and they could flip the switch come important games. And so I'm putting them in the very, very cool kids club for that reason. If we're just doing resume, if we're just doing eye test, they're probably not in this club.
Does it matter to you at all that since the start of the year, the only team they've beaten that would be in the tournament is Villanova?
Well, no, because you only get what you get.
Sure.
I mean,
I like part of it though is I have a tough time with UConn because it feels like either they're playing with their food in the Big East and they're not necessarily dominating in the way that you would expect for a team that's supposed to be one of the 5 best in the country.
No, they're not. It's undeniable they're not.
They aren't getting challenged in the way that the other 4 teams that would be in the 5 best teams in the country are getting challenged all the time.
I just think we've seen spurts of them really, really dig in, and
it's been a while.
You're right. It's been a while, and it doesn't come consistently.
They've beaten
enough.
Florida. They've beaten Illinois. They've beaten BYU. So they have beaten very good teams. Like, this isn't to say that they can't. It's just that we haven't really seen it. And obviously they're at the mercy of what the Big East is. And at the same time, if they lose to St. John's tomorrow, they will have lost to the best team that they have played for 3 months twice. They're not even the best team in their own conference.
I would view that more as an argument for pro St. John's than anti-UConn.
I view it as both.
That's fair. But I just think there's enough, I don't know. I'm disgusted with myself for saying it out loud, but I believe it. I just
Are
think
the Saudis paying you to talk about UConn?
No, they're definitely not.
Is Dan?
No, Dan, my friend Dan, he's not. Who's a Royals fan, by the way. No, I just
he is.
Yeah, I just think there's some. I think there's championship pedigree in there. And I also don't I don't know. There's definitely an element that you don't trust, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So, do you have any edits to the cool kids? The very
no.
Very
I
cool
mean,
kids club,
so
with
basically,
the exception of UConn.
Here's how I have it with similar teams. I mean, I have the best where I have Duke and Michigan in that spot. I have the contenders of Arizona State, Iowa State, or Arizona, not Arizona State. I want to be very clear on
Other
that.
Hurley, you're not in the club.
Iowa,
nope.
Iowa State, Houston, and I still have Illinois in there, but I am
shaky.
Illinois, I don't know. Illinois probably needs to drop into the flawed but dangerous tier. I almost think after being very high on Houston, you go back and you look, they haven't beaten the best teams in the Big 12 either.
But this is another, it's the same thing here. There's a pedigree thing that I just, they lost to Iowa State, Arizona, Kansas 3 games in a row, and it doesn't really bother me. I don't know.
I think the difference for me though is I need to see them have success that isn't just BYU and Texas Tech too. Yep. If you're going to be on the same line as Arizona, I kind of need to see you do something like that, or Iowa State or whatever. They have it, and they really won't because I don't think they have other opportunities to get that kind of win. I still have them in the contenders because when I watch them, I think, oh God, that would be a tough team to play. My eye test says one tough thing. Their results say another thing, to me altogether. In where UConn has gone into the penalty box, which is where Kansas and
is
Purdue
it 5-on-3?
No, it's not 5-on-3.
Okay, good.
They're just in the penalty box for a 1 week, and then they'll get reassessed next week.
Did Kansas get out of the box with
Kansas wouldn't have gotten out of the box, but then they went and beat Houston, so now they get to be out of the box. So it's very difficult with Kansas.
So it's just Dan Hurley in a box by himself?
Pretty much.
That will not end well for Dan.
He's just circling the box.
He will get so angry.
There's a lot of yelling coming out of the box.
He's going to punch the walls.
That's what it is. And then I have the whole category of flawed but dangerous, and I think this is where we're going to be similar on a lot.
Yeah, like Vanderbilt and Michigan State. And
no, I don't have.
Are you talking about the other one?
I have Purdue, Nebraska, Florida, Michigan State, Kansas, St. John's in that group.
Yeah, St. John's is an interesting addition.
I moved them from off the board all the way on.
Okay, but that's fascinating because that's a team who won't have the resume to be like a 2. They won't have the resume.
Well,
so you're going off eye test on them.
I'm going off of eye test. I'm also going off of their seed line is going to be like a 4 or a 5. They might get to being a 4.
Yep.
If they win out, if they beat UConn 2 more times, Like, say they beat them again,
And then in the
they
Big East
beat them
final.
the Big East final.
That's a
probably
lot.
going to be a 4. And so maybe even a 3 at that point if UConn slides down. So
they have a tough finish to regular season. They play UConn, Villanova, Georgetown, and Seton Hall.
And this could all, I mean, they could move off of it. It fly but dangerous means to me, like, probably really not going to threaten to win the title, but a team that at any given moment, like if they're a 4 and you're a 1 and you're getting them in the Sweet 16, that's not a super, like that's not an easy.
But going back to pedigree, like could at any moment spontaneously combust.
Sure.
I mean,
absolutely.
So
flawed,
untrustworthy,
but dangerous.
I would call them untrustworthy in that group. So yeah, my cool kids club is Illinois, Florida, Nebraska, Purdue, Gonzaga, and Kansas. And then there's a bunch of other teams that I'm just like, yeah, maybe I could switch you in at any given moment. So one thing that people are looking at around this time of year is how well are you playing right now? And Bart Torvik gives us the ability to look at this in numbers form. So since February 1, which encapsulates every game until right now, here are the rankings. This is outside of every other part of the season, just since February 1. Michigan, Florida, Illinois, Purdue, Duke, Arizona, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Houston.
Yeah.
And then you have Cincinnati at number 11, hilariously, who's pulled off some unbelievable things. And then you keep scrolling down. St. John's is at 14. Obviously, they're on a 13-game winning streak. 6 of them are in the month of February. Wisconsin's in the top 15. UConn's at 17, so that would follow along with your theory of St. John's is obviously playing better basketball than UConn. Kansas, a volatile 5-2 in February. They're at number 18. Nebraska, a 3-3 February at number 22.
Which is kind
in the February.
Their 3
rankings.
wins are against teams that maybe have a combined 30 wins.
Yep. But they've played well enough.
Yeah, no, they haven't embarrassed themselves.
Right. So I'm trying to look for a contending team who has just played horribly in the month.
Where's Michigan State at in this?
Michigan State. That's a great question. Maybe that would be the team that I'm looking for. 34.
Yeah. That's about right.
Fading.
Yep.
Fading.
Watch out for Tom Izzo.
So if you care about who is playing good basketball at the right time, that'll be something that we continue to bring up here on this show. All right, let's take a break. Joey's got headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. right, so when Joey sees schedule news, he gets all fired up. When I see this, I have the same reaction. You can enter online at 1620thezone.com for your chance to win a year supply of Girl Scout cookies. Brought to you by the Girl Scouts Spirit of Nebraska. I would say I like Girl Scout cookies more than Joey likes schedules.
Whoa.
Do you think that's possible, Joey?
It is possible.
I don't know.
Does Joey like Girl Scout cookies? I don't think
I
he
love
ever weighed
Girl
in
Scout
on this.
cookies.
Yeah.
Does he like it more than schedules?
That's a good question.
What do you think? We need a verdict.
I think it's NFL schedules because I talk about that more than stuff that
You
I
do.
eat.
Hypothetically, if you could have a year's supply of Girl Scout cookies, but you couldn't tweet or talk or create your own schedule for
Whoa.
one NFL season, would you be willing to do it?
Oh man, you are putting me on the spot. I can't do it. This is like what bracketology is for Joe Lenardi. This is my dumb thing.
You'd
This
be
is my
giving
dumb
up
thing.
a part of your personality.
I've done this for like 5 years and I can't give it up.
Anyway, you can not have to worry about schedules and just get a year supply of Girl Scout cookies. If you head on to our website, 1620thezone.com, the booths are out, but why would you go to the booths? I mean, you should go to the booths, but like you could get it for free. Just go to 1620thezone.com.
Do both.
And of course, visit them online, Girl Scouts of Nebraska.
More cookies for
.org.
you.
More cookies for you. All right, Joey, we got headlines.
Yes, we do. The first story is out in North Carolina. Mom of 3 who vanished 24 years ago while Christmas shopping found alive and well, authorities say.
Whoa. Interesting.
How many years ago?
24?
24 years ago.
She dipped. I mean, is there can you tell me if there's like is there a sad ending to this story or is it just a big miscommunication or what do we
I
have?
don't see any way there could be a miscommunication for 24 years.
It kind of feels like
I mean, there's a sad story like when it happened at the beginning, but there's literally not a whole lot out of it from what I found.
interesting.
All right, let's hear the second headline.
Second one's a little graphic. This is out in Western Kentucky.
Careful.
A man found covered in
Oh, I've heard this.
Oh no.
I know this headline.
Is it poop?
No.
No, it's Western Kentucky man found covered in fur accused of sex crimes with deer
Okay.
carcass.
Go to the first one.
Yeah.
We can't do the second. I was gonna let Joey.
I figured
I was gonna let Joey do the headline. I was gonna tell him we were doing the first.
I figured there wasn't a whole lot out there.
That
Okay.
now explains Joey's reaction earlier in the show to
That's true.
things are weird out there in America.
Okay.
Especially in Kentucky.
that was a good hint. All right, what's going on with this person who left?
so this is this
Where did they go?
That's not a mom.
So North Carolina mother who went missing 24 years ago while going Christmas shopping has found alive and well. On February 20th in Rockingham County Sheriff's Office said Michelle Hunley Smith, who's 62 right now, who was first reported missing on December 31st of 2001. So this was after Christmas, had been found after detectives received new information about her disappearance. Authorities made contact with Smith at an undisclosed location in North Carolina, alive and well, the sheriff's office announced. She was 38 years old at the time of her disappearance. Her husband was the first person to report her missing back in 2001, investigators said.
So she just dipped. This is basically the story. I mean,
Yeah.
she doesn't want to be
That's
found.
when you asked if there was a happy ending. I don't see how there could be.
So she had left her home to go Christmas shopping at a Kmart in Martinsville, Virginia on December 9th, about 17 miles from her home, and never returned. In 2020, her daughter, Amanda Smith, told NBC News that on the evening of 2001, she remembered her mother kissing them goodnight and leaving their house around 8:30 in the evening. Amanda was 14 years old when her mother disappeared. Her younger brother was almost 8, and their older sister was 19 and already out of the house. Amanda said her mother was always there when they got off the bus from school, cooked their favorite meals, and while she wasn't very strict, never let them get away with everything.
She was just over it. She was
So-
like, I don't want to be a mom anymore.
So-
I'm out of here.
So at her request, her current whereabouts will remain undisclosed. Officials said Smith's family was notified that she had been located and were informed about her request to keep her whereabouts undisclosed.
They still do. She still doesn't
They-
want them to know where she is.
They just know she's alive.
All right.
I do have a lot of questions about the mechanics of this. So, like, was she just using the same ID all of these years and just never came up in any kind of, DMV or any sort of
Great question.
search?
That's a good
She couldn't
question.
have a credit card if this was the case. She probably couldn't have an employment history.
So yeah, it
Like,
doesn't
did
appear
she have like a different identification? Joey, answer these questions.
It doesn't have from what
it does not
from what
appear as if she like went through the whole process of like faking her death. That was
Yeah.
not her intention. Her intention was just to run away, and then after a while they just assumed that she was dead, and then it turned out she never
Yeah.
was,
Even
and never
an-
tried to act like it.
Like an incredibly low level PI could track with all of the different ways that you leave.
Something's up here. Maybe the kids didn't. Maybe the kids were like,
I would
"All right."
assume that dad has known for a long time
Yeah.
and then was just like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And then
She's out there
never,
somewhere.
I have many questions,
Yeah.
none of which can be answered by Joey, unfortunately.
No.
unfortunately.
And not by the wacky news stories. Andy writes in on YouTube, send Joey there to investigate and get these questions answered. Joey on the street.
I've never been to North Carolina.
Yeah, Joey had all of Joey's tweets just find their way into my feed now.
They're great
realize
tweets.
this. He had a tweet the other day about all the states that he had been to, and basically he'd never
Been
Not
to any
never.
state in the South.
But largely, if it's not Florida, he hadn't been to that entire, like, starting with Arkansas, maybe he had been to, but Alabama on over to the Carolinas was just red. It was green if he had been there.
It was. I did see this
Yeah.
one. This is a very interesting.
And I
map.
think the station owes it to Joey to send him to a random SEC football game.
Would you like to go to?
I would love to go. I used to work with a guy at my previous job who owns a bowling alley, but on his other things he would do would literally go to all these different college football stadiums across the country, which now he has two more to go to with North Dakota State and Sacramento State in. But he's gone to nearly all the FBS stadiums. He'll do that. He'll go to random bowling alleys or go to a bunch of different minor league baseball stadiums.
What a combo of things. First of all,
He's traveled with the college football stadium tour guy as well. He's offered him hotel rooms to stay.
Roger Sherman, that guy?
Whatever that Twitter,
It was Roger Sherman. I'm
Roger
pretty sure.
Sherman did that. I know he did that, but I think I would imagine that there's a lot of college football stadium tour guys.
Well, it was the guy that the guy that did 100 games in like a full
Roger
season.
Sherman.
That was Roger. Sherman.
That was him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
But I would.
potential bit here, we send Joey to like a random ACC game or something like that.
Well, if Nebraska
Let's
did not,
send Joey
if
to-
Nebraska did not cancel that Tennessee series, that would have been my opportunity to go
Was
to an
Tennessee
SEC.
one of the states that you hadn't been to?
No, I've not been to Tennessee.
Wow.
You could have knocked out some surrounding states as well.
Yeah.
You could have gone over to North Carolina and South Carolina.
I think we send Joey to Sunbelt games to start with, and then he works his way up to
He would cover the entire
the
Deep
Conference
South
USA.
very quickly.
I'd be
Yeah.
for
and
this.
then he works his way up to the SEC.
We do have a meeting tonight.
We'll
Let's bring it up.
pitch this somehow.
All right, thank you, Joey. Those are
Yep.
the unanswered mysteries of the headlines. We'll come back 8:00 hour. We'll talk about money next on 1620 The Zone. All right, little break topic again. When does a place become a place that you have visited? When do you pass the threshold of I have been here? We all agree, I think, in this room that if you have a layover at an airport in a state, you cannot check that state off for have been there. You can't check that off.
If you get out of the airport and you go do some stuff inside the city,
But I'm
and then
talking
you
about
come
like,
back,
hey,
Or just
I've
at
never,
least step
I've
foot
never
outside.
been to Indiana, but I had a layover in Indianapolis for an hour. That does not count.
agreed.
That does not count. So take that off your boards right now if you're making your road trip maps. But the question is then, when does it become a place that you have visited? And there is a gray area, I think, that exists, especially for road trips. If you drive through the state, you can make an argument, and you're likely going to stop somewhere and get food or do something. You can make a case, even though you never stayed a night there, you can make a case to me that you have been to that state and you have experienced that state because you've seen the entire thing. And although it's, you haven't stayed there a night or whatever, I think based on the Connor Happer rules of road trips, you can check that off.
Now, I want to throw a scenario at you. What if you somehow had never been to Iowa, which congratulations to you.
Great job.
But then you're in Nebraska and you decide you're going to go from Nebraska to Kansas City and you drive through that little sliver of Iowa on I-20. So I think it has to be like an extended drive through a state.
Didn't see enough.
Yeah.
You got 50 miles. Congrats.
You got to see a portion of the state. You can't just go to Hamburg, Iowa and call that good.
Yeah. It's a case by case. It would have to be submitted to the board, for review.
I would honestly,
that case would be denied.
I would serve on that board. If someone's like, hey, people want to know if this counts, I would love to review these cases and let people know.
I'm in.
Based on my own summation.
I agree. I would like to serve on that committee.
If people want to email in and ask if it counts,
road trip or
not,
not,
we are willing to be your road trip board to determine whether you get to claim that you've been in the state or not.
Maybe someone's calling about it right now. Place I've visited or not. We would love to hear those cases whenever you.
Honestly, we make it a segment.
We can make it a whole segment. We can make it a segment every week.
Yeah.
Andy writes in. He says, "I've driven through Oklahoma because there's no reason to stop. What if you stop for gas and to eat?" See, it's tricky. I would need to know more specifics. How much of the state did you travel through?
Well, how many times? Like, if you've done it 3 times, and I feel like I'm willing to basically, acquiesce on it. But, like if you've driven through it once, and again, it took you an hour to get through whatever section of Oklahoma because you're just cutting off a portion of it.
Probably not enough.
Right.
If you go straight through if you're going down from Kansas, down, what is it, 35 there?
Right.
Yeah.
Straight through.
Yeah.
That's a couple hours. I mean, maybe you got a case.
You're going right through the heart of it in Oklahoma City and into, the Norman and then throughout it,
Yeah. I think at that point you probably stop for gas and to eat. And I think you could
grab a Whataburger, a Brahms, or a whatever else is going to be down.
You could probably check it off.
So Scott pitched in on the Omaha to Kansas City. He said you've seen enough of the great puke state of Iowa going down I-29.
Facts.
You don't need a lot of Iowa to see a lot of Iowa.
Yeah, but you wouldn't, in my opinion, you have to respect the game, and you would not be able to check Iowa off your state list.
I personally only count it if I have spent a night in that state.
So you would have a lower count than everybody.
No, I'm at like 40 some.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm very close to being done. But you got to remember, I had a job where I drove around the country writing railroad newsletters.
Mr. Train.
So I checked off much of the Southeast that way.
I do think if you're seeing stuff, if you're out on the road seeing stuff, I think that should count more than just staying over or being at the airport.
Brian has a good point on the Equitable Bank inbox. He says where they stop to eat has to be considered. I think all of the relevant items that we brought up to the case, to the committee.
Submit your cases. If you're wondering, hey, does this count? Send it into to Connor at 1620 The Zone,
please.
Mike at 1620 The Zone, Joey at 1620 The Zone. We get a few of these. We'll absolutely review them and then make determinations and talk about it.
But I need specific. Yeah. I need specifics.
This is a great graphic idea.
I got a YouTube comment. I've driven through Atlanta at rush hour, but never stopped. But I think that should.
If
count.
you were driving through Atlanta in rush hour,
You've seen
you'd
it.
stop, buddy.
You've seen it.
You stopped
your
plenty of
car
times.
might have, come to a complete stop.
Interesting case. I need more specifics, but I think you're going to have an avenue
If
here.
you're driving through Atlanta, you've been in Georgia. There's no way. It's such.
You've been the rest of Georgia.
Yeah, you've
right?
seen enough of Georgia where I'm gonna.
But have you been
count.
to Atlanta? If you're just stuck in Atlanta traffic, or have you been to Atlanta?
That becomes like there's the state portion and then there's the city or whatever portion of it. That becomes.
I think
harder
if you were stuck in Atlanta traffic for a long period of time, you were in Atlanta because you saw it.
How many times
You're in
did
the
you
city.
see billboards for
City of the
CNN?
day.
Yeah, right. Chris writes in, layovers count. I have been to France. If you have to go through customs, it counts. I was in the airport in France for 3 hours. Have I been to Paris?
No.
Wow.
I don't think customs makes it any different.
Yeah, you got to
You
go
didn't get out of
outside.
the
You got to
airport.
go outside.
Well, they'll stamp your passport. Don't they have like a country stamp? Like they'll have like a France stamp or like a UK
Yeah, I mean,
stamp?
you can legally tell people you've been there.
Sure.
But
I mean that's evidence. Like you
haven't
cross
been
paths
there.
with.
you haven't been there. It's fake. It's documentation.
You
of
didn't have a
nothing.
little baguette and sit outside the Eiffel Tower and
Exactly.
wear a beret.
All right, I have a couple more of these. Albino Tornado writes in, the little corner of I-15 that goes through Arizona doesn't count, nor does I-95 in New Hampshire. Yeah, the northeastern states are really tough.
Because they're so small and you jet in and out of them. Like I have been in New Hampshire and we were like right up next to Vermont, but I wouldn't really count it for anything either.
Good one for
Wait,
Andy.
so I can't count New Hampshire then when I was going to Portland, Maine? Because that I-95 stretch is like 13 miles long. There is a
Did you fly into Manchester?
No, we did not. We were driving.
You
we
just cut off a little piece of New Hampshire.
Yeah,
That's all you got.
yeah.
I
I'm
don't
gonna say
count it.
no. I'm gonna say no.
I mean, I see the action there. I see
You
what the
saw
people.
the
Is that
action?
the New Hampshire action?
I see what the people
If
of
you
New
didn't get
Hampshire
to
are up
Manchester
to.
by sea, it doesn't count.
Did you get any sort of food that was very New
No,
Hampshire?
we were rushing towards Portland, Maine. We spent
You were in and out.
we-
This is a
we-
no-go.
we drove from Evansburg, Pennsylvania, just the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, just west of Altoona. Drove from there to Portland, Maine. We went through upstate New York, went through the entire state of Connecticut without stopping at all. From New Haven to
New Haven.
just northeast of Hartford. We spent a good 3 hours, and we didn't even stop in Connecticut at all. But I
I
pretty
don't
much
think you've been
I've seen a whole lot of Connecticut.
Hopefully not. You've seen a whole lot of Yukon.
Here's an interesting one from the stream.
I think as long as you're on the ground, I think you have a better case.
Oh,
Well, but
not
if
not.
you spent 13 minutes in New Hampshire, you have
It
no
wasn't
case.
13 minutes. They got significant traffic over there.
It's not black and white, Joey. The case will be reviewed.
Yeah. You submit your case.
Yes.
What if you drove
I'm
through
part of the
a
board.
state, but at night and couldn't see it?
I'm going to say no.
I would also say
I'm
no.
going to say no.
Absolutely not.
Also, one more practical one from Andy. Did Rusty and Clark really see the Grand Canyon in Vacation when they went up to it and said, all right,
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Now, they did see other great parts of Arizona.
This is a really
They
fascinating.
went to Flagstaff to deliver
Right.
whatever her name was who
Right.
died. And what's his name was out of town.
Did I see the Statue of Liberty if all I did was take the Staten Island ferry instead of actually going to Ellis Island?
Oh, you didn't take the ferry to the you took the ferry to Staten Island
Yep.
and you just waved at Lady Liberty?
Yep.
I don't think, well, it depends. You've seen the Statue of Liberty, but you haven't been to the
Right.
Statue of
I would
Liberty.
not say
Yeah,
that I've been
yeah.
to the Statue of Liberty, but I would tell people that you don't need to go unless you only want to go for Ellis
Yeah,
Island.
You really don't.
Because the Statue of Liberty is one of the most underwhelming things that I have ever.
Now, is the crown
Yes.
open? Because they closed the crown at various points. And
I don't think it was open.
the crown
when I
wasn't
was
open
there.
when I was last there.
Yeah.
So you got to go up in the crown.
I was so underwhelmed by the Statue of Liberty. It is hard to explain.
Wow.
You're in this
Like 2 days after America wins the gold medal?
I know.
Unbelievable.
I've been, but people say this about the Alamo too, and I don't share the same opinion on that. I think the thing that I'm just stunned by with the Alamo, it's so much of San Antonio is built around it, just how small it is. And like, this is like the thing that is massively defended. And there's all of these movies and books and so much culture about it. And it's like basically the size of this room and,
Yeah.
you know, the bullpen next door where the desks are at.
The desks. We got one
I mean,
more.
Matt's desk would barely fit in the Alamo.
Yikes. We got one more text here. John writes in, if I have laid over in the same airport enough times that there are bartenders that know my name, have I been in that state?
No, you've been
You're
in that
getting-
Oh,
airport.
boy.
Yeah, I like the case though. I'd like to see it. I'd like to hear it.
Yeah,
I'd like
feel
to hear
free
the
to present
case.
your case. Again, we're willing to review these and we're willing to discuss them in depth.
We'll wear robes and wigs and we'll have gavels, and we will rule.
I guarantee Matt has an opinion on this.
He does.
Oh, boy.
He does, because he wanted to do whatever bit court.
Yeah, you want a bit court.
I'll say, Matt, can I use your robe and your
Yeah.
gavel? 'Cause we have a different bit involving that.
No, he didn't wear a robe. Ask him for his blazer.
Yeah, it's blazer.
Tell him we're going to do a court bit,
We'll tell him,
and he can't be a part of it, but you want his blazer.
We'll tell him in the crossover. He'll be devastated. All right, Matt Rule.
Oh, we're going to go back to a topic now?
Well, we got 10 minutes before we
Okay,
get to.
let's do
I
it.
think we can knock this out in
Yep.
10 minutes. So we're talking about money. How much money do you have, and how much does that give you the ability to compete? Rule said on Thursday when he spoke to the media, but as we've ascended, other people certainly have ascended, right? Sometimes people ask me, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? There's a finite amount of dollars that are available. My job's not to complain. It's to figure it out with whatever we have. But there are $40 to $50 million in 2026 in college football. And there's all what it feels like 2 or 3 times a year, there's a conversation about how much money does Nebraska actually have. I've heard this conversation a lot every time it comes up. And, frankly, I have never been concerned on Nebraska's behalf about how much money they don't have. I believe that they have, and you hear different things from different people. And the bottom line for me is you will always want more. Even the big dogs will want more. Even Indiana, who's getting donations from Cubes and all these
Cubes.
and Ohio State, like they always want more because somebody's always chasing. You're
Sure.
always chasing the next thing. And so Nebraska, I feel like, is in a comfortable enough position for the area of college football that they operate in to compete. And so what I hear when we talk about this NIL stuff, frankly, I'm over the conversation of does Nebraska have enough money or not?
Bingo.
I do not really care for it at all. What I hear when I hear all this stuff is just another way of saying Nebraska is tapped out from a money perspective for how many games they actually win on the football field. They, in order to get more investment and more into the program, they have to win football games. It happens organically that way. And that's what you were talking about with the chicken and egg thing earlier. Nebraska is plenty set up for how many games it wins right now. And not that there's like an exact direct correlation, but in order to really take it to the next level and be like Oregon and be like Ohio State and be like maybe it's Indiana now or LSU or whatever, what do all those teams do? Yeah, they have $40 to $50 million rosters, but they win consistently.
Yeah.
And they continue to get energy and all these things and money put toward their program because they win, and I do think, like, I don't know how we don't see it that way more often.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much what your money total is to me. It's how have you invested it and where are you finding success with it? Like, I mean, that's a lot of it to me. Okay, so Nebraska has, let's just say hypothetically, Nebraska had like a $25 million roster last year. They have 2 players that got invited to the combine. They had 3 players get all conference nominations or all conference support.
I don't know.
Emmett Johnson was one, Kenneth Williams was one, and I think there was one other, and I can't remember who that would be.
I'll check for you.
So, like, part of it is you have this roster and you have this amount of money and you have 6-7 wins. Are you maximizing the money you already have? Why would you get more money if you're not really even able to, maximize what you have here, which is already more? I mean, Nebraska's not in the 1%, but Nebraska's probably in the top 25%, 15% of college football in terms of spending.
I just don't know how much they can realistically ask for to I mean, we're talking about the top 5 and 10 programs in college football that are above Nebraska. And I'm not saying Nebraska is ranked this or whatever, but Nebraska is one of the, let's say, 25 or 40 programs in college football where if they really need something, they can get it.
Sure.
And they're absolutely in that club. Now, they are not in the club of we can throw money around irresponsibly and just, do that whole thing and hope it works out. Although to a certain extent, there is evidence of that in every single program in America, but some of that is based on the market. Nebraska doesn't have funny money, but they are living very, very comfortably in the NIL world. At least that is all that I've ever heard on people who would know. And honestly, I think that's how the coaches view it as well. And so when this conversation gets brought up and it's like, hey, how are we feeling from an NIL perspective? He's like, yeah, it's good, but it could be better. I have a distaste toward that conversation because everybody wants more all the time.
And I don't have any, I guess I don't share the distaste for if the idea is, it's good, it could be better. That's true all the time.
It's true.
It could always
of course
be better.
It's true.
Here's the thing, and you've said it, they have to be better. Like, the investment will follow if Nebraska is able to win games. You don't just blindly get an amount of money and then like, okay, well, you didn't win with that, so we're going to have to give you some more money. It's not really how this works. There needs to be some sort of return on what the donations are already, in addition to what you get from the $21.5 million or whatever you're able to allocate with your slice of the pie. And Nebraska's not blessed with a huge population base or a mega donor that can overcome everything by themselves, or
there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts to this. I mean,
but a lot of it is teams that don't have as much money. Like, I'm fairly positive that Indiana made the college football playoff spending less money on their roster than Nebraska did in 2024.
And then what happened?
And then they turned around with more money, retained a lot of their best players, added pieces that were valuable,
and won a national
retained
championship.
the infrastructure, and then won a national championship.
And then we're at the point right now. And then what?
And
happened?
Now they're getting the money whip people.
Interesting,
because they have went from step 1 to step 2 to step. Screw you. We've got money.
Yeah. So when people always say what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and I'm like, this is a very easy question. Win with what you have first, and then the money comes. So whether that's the chicken or the egg, it is definitely one or the other. This is not we could have the money first and then win, or we could have the wins first and then the money. That is the wrong way to look at it. There is no angel coming to save you. There is no white knight. You have to do it, and then it will come. If you build it, they will come. That is how it has to happen at Nebraska. I mean, unless you are just sitting there and hoping and waiting to be Texas Tech and let they break ground on a giant oil, pool somewhere under the state of Nebraska. It's not happening. You have to just do it.
Everyone's going to run out and be landmen now in the state of Nebraska.
Ring it up. Let's go.
No, so, I mean, here's an example of this. Nebraska basketball does not have a lot of money for NIL, and they're having a terrific season right now with a roster that probably financially is somewhere in the bottom third of the conference in terms of what's being paid. Now, the play outpaces that significantly, but I want to say it was last week. So before the Northwestern game, Fred Hoiberg has a call with a bunch of the top donors and basically says like, hey, this is going great. We want to retain Sanford and Frager and Jacobson and Berkay and whoever else that they want to retain.
And we need your
and
support.
He's telling these guys, like, look, we've done really well with what we have. They're all hearing from people, and Sanford could be going to the NBA, and Frager is likely hearing from a number of colleges. It's been discussed already.
No doubt.
Like, you're going to need more money than what it took to build this, but we've already shown you, like, this is what it looks like right now. We need your help to retain, and then we've got to seize on this moment so we can go forward.
And we've proven
So
that
if
we have the
you
ability
know-
to take your money and put it in the right places.
Right. And it's like, we've shown that we can identify talent, but we're going to, the cost of poker goes up. We're going to need more money to be able to play in the game.
That's right. That's what it is. It's bigger blind.
And it's effectively to not be blinded out, I guess, if you would. And so that call literally happened the Friday before the Northwestern game a couple weeks ago. And it's Fred, basically telling these top donors, like, hey, this is what we got to do. And then, from there, not to get into the play-by-play of the rest of the conversation, but there it becomes like a, hey, we're all enjoying this right now. Other donors are now on the call talking to each other. We're all enjoying this. We want it to go forward.
What do you need?
We've got to spearhead it, and then it's like, let's put this plan together.
Mhm.
That's what it was. Matt Rule will have some variation of that, and he already has, but he'll have an even bigger one if Nebraska's doing better as a program.
Yeah, those calls are a little bit more difficult if there's not the right energy for it.
And Fred had after Nebraska went to the NCAA tournament, I definitely remember hearing about this in 2024, but he's out in Scottsdale, Arizona amongst these donors, basically just, I don't want to say begging, but more or less begging for whatever money they can scrounge together. And it came so late by the time they got it that they threw it all on Braxton Mia rather than having it a little bit earlier to spend it how maybe they would have. At that point, you're at the mercy of what's available and what you have the money for and everything else. And then that causes issues because you structured things in other ways. So it's all like, it's such a weird world. And if you prove that you can win with what you have, there will be more money.
There's no doubt.
And so
That's the main point.
it's not even, to me, it's not even really chicken and the egg.
Agreed.
It's
one of whichever one is the winning, whichever one is the infrastructure, whichever one's not the money. That's the chicken. Let's call that the chicken.
Right.
It's the chicken.
Right.
It's the chicken.
And for there to be, and you're going to have like money's going to go up because it sort of has to, because at some point there's going to have to be like a cap because it just can't go up forever. But you're going to live with some inflation in that regard, but you're going to, in order for you to go significantly over, you're going to need to see results. Mm-hmm. People that have been investing at some point are just going to be like, I'm not doing this anymore.
The same stuff
to go 7-6.
No doubt.
I'm not doing this anymore to see a bunch of guys that can't be on all conference teams or aren't NFL quality players. Mm-hmm. Or you can't figure out a way to coach and win with.
You want the last thing on this before we take a break, and I want to get to your guys' thoughts as well. You want the support that you are receiving. I think this is really important. You want the support that you are receiving to be organic. I think there's been a feeling with Nebraska football for a long time of like, I need to support this because this is what we do. And this is how we have to do it. And I want this is what I'm supposed to do. Not because they feel this energy and this pull to be like, I like what's going on right now. Yeah. So we have to support this. I mean, I think that's really important. And there's the obvious organic support right now with Nebraska basketball. I'm not saying you turn down money, but it gets a little, it turns into a grind against the money that's already surrounding your program against the donors, where you're just constantly like, hey, believe. You have to believe in us. And we need more and more and more and more.
And if that success happens and it happens at a large level, then you're going to get
the organic support.
You're going to get the real NIL that comes out of it too. You're going to have First National Bank with billboards of Frager if he's sticking around for next year because he's a Nebraska kid, and that's an easy investment for them to make, to put him on stuff and to be involved in that way. And you're going to get other businesses doing it. Like it all builds on itself but the winning has to happen.
No doubt.
There has to be the catalyst for the support. It can't just be this like, well, if we keep just putting our money together, then it's going to work. It won't. It simply won't.
Got to take a break. Mitch Sherman joins us. We'll talk about this with him next on 1620 The Zone. All right, good morning and welcome back. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Just past 8:30, and it's Tuesday, which means it's time to be joined on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline right now by our good friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. We were just talking about the fun conversation of money and how much money you need to win football games.
I mean, technically, you don't actually need money to win any football games, but we all know that that's not in any way true at all.
Yeah. Is
It's, uh,
is
a
no
pretty
money
important piece
like a
in
little
building a
money?
program today.
Right. It definitely is. But Nebraska doesn't have no money. They have
Oh, no.
enough money. Would you agree with that statement? They have enough money to be doing more with what they have right now?
Yeah. Nebraska has, and I don't, it's hard for me to make a definitive statement about that because I'm not looking at the balance sheet. I don't have the control of the purse strings here. But I think, it's safe assumption. It's like not just an educated guess. It's like it's well-known knowledge that Nebraska has done well to put together resources that are set to build, that are designed to build the roster. Is it top 10 money? Is it top 20 money? Or is it top 30 in college football? Like that, I can't tell you exactly where Nebraska falls, but they're competitive for sure and have improved their stature there, their status there, over the last 6 months. But the as Matt Rule mentioned on Thursday last week, the teams at the very top are growing their pools as well. And I think for Nebraska, the important thing to know and the way that Nebraska should design its strategy is to not set that goal to build the most expensive roster. That's not ever you're not going to get that to work. Like if the way that you set out to do this and the way that you set out to bring your program to the place that you want is to have the most money or spend the most money, then you're fighting a battle that's going to there's not going to be an end. You're just going to keep climbing a hill and you won't ever see the top. But if you stress efficiency and using resources well, while at the same time having deep pockets, then I think that can be successful. And I generally think that's the direction they're trying to head.
Mitch, would it behoove Nebraska at all to like not talk about this? Because I just don't think there's like a ton. I don't think there's a lot to be gained if you're constantly saying that you need more money or talking about the money, because you can talk about that the top continues to get more. And in my head, all I want to say in response to that is, well, yeah, they get more wins. They continue to win more.
I think
so. There's like a part of me that's like, I don't know that it's a great, and Matt Rule has to answer questions that he's asked, right? So like he can't control whenever this conversation comes up. But I almost wonder if they wouldn't be better off in the short term right now, trying to avoid talking about this as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't think he's really out there bringing it up. Certainly not in the public and in the media. You have to talk about it and bring it up with donors.
Yes, I mean more in the media setting. Like they should try to avoid making it a story as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of difficult, I think, to have it be such a focus of what you're doing away from the spotlight, away from the media setting, and for it to be such an important part of your program to raise money. And that's just the reality today. And I think it involves the coach more than it has in the past, because in the past the money hasn't been directly tied to the roster, so the coach hasn't had as much of a stake in it. It's been raising money for facilities or other things that athletic departments need. So I think if Matt Rule is devoting a big chunk of his time, or just a chunk of his time, to that conversation outside of the spotlight, then it's hard for it not to come up when he is in front of the media. And like you said, I don't think this isn't like a preemptive thing when he's talked about it, with the exception maybe of last October when his future was uncertain at Nebraska for a couple of weeks, and then it was locked down. Like money was a big, not money paid to him, but money
right,
devoted to the roster was a big piece of that. So it was going to come up, and it may have come up preemptively there. But now, I just think it's a part of the discussion around college football. I do think it would behoove Nebraska, to your point, Mike, to have a certain stance on it. And I think that there is an answer that Nebraska can give, basically some version of an answer that Nebraska can give each time it comes up. That is probably the best way to handle it, instead of like just ad-libbing and going in a certain direction. Like you can have a talking point and just kind of stick to that, and that's probably the best, what's best for public consumption. But that's not really the way that Matt Rule works with the media. Like he speaks from the heart, and he says says what he's thinking and kind of rides the waves.
And I appreciate that about him.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the thing. It's counterintuitive because as a journalist, that's what you want.
But
And yet at the same time,
I sometimes wish he would just be like, yeah, the money part, we're good. Like we got what we need.
Yeah.
You know, like that could be a version of the answer, Mitch.
He's also trying to appeal to new
Sure.
sources, to new there's somebody out there who's owns a company in Texas or Arizona or California that is a Nebraska fan or might want to be a Nebraska fan if they heard Matt Rule talk. And I think that's a small part of what his strategy is in front of the media, but you don't want to cut yourself off to any possibilities.
Mitch, oftentimes you'll come on these appearances and someone like me will ask you what you're most interested in hearing or things like that as it relates to the spring. I want to put a different spin on it. What position group are you least interested hearing about this spring? Like, do you feel like you least need to hear about because either you feel good about it or you don't know that it's going to be as important as other things? So I'm going to let you go the other way this time.
Good question. What do I not care about? Right now, I think we've kind of heard their stance on the running backs, and I don't know that I want to hear a whole lot more about it. I just want to see them, and I want to see them in September. There was a point in time, and I think Thursday was one of those points where the question was appropriate to ask, and it was good to hear the answer. And I don't know what more they can say. Honestly, even if somebody's having a great spring, sure, that would be of interest. There's no position group on the team where I'm just like, nope, don't talk to me about that. It's not really
Fair.
It's not really my MO walking into these things. But there are some that I'm more interested about than others. And I put the running backs kind of at the bottom of the list because I think we've said and they've said all they can say at this point. We know how they feel, and they might be right. Let's just wait until September and see what it looks like.
It's a great, honestly, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just as far as that conversation and where it's turned to at this point. Okay, I want to go off the board with you here before we let you go. Is there a state that you claim that you have been to, but you've only like taken a road trip through, or because
had a layover?
We have decided that we're going
Airport?
to be the judge. Airports, like we have decided that we're going to be the judges of if you've actually been to this. So people are submitting their cases to us.
Yeah.
Do you have any case files that you'd like us to study?
Yeah. So I like the subject of how many states have you been to?
Great conversation.
I need to go back and update. I've updated it at some point. I think I'm at like 46.
Very nice.
So yeah, it's pretty good, but I'm old. So, but yeah, there are some. I'm not. You guys are the judges, so I'll tell you that New Mexico, I've only driven through, and but it was an extensive drive.
Okay,
like it was
that's
one
important.
time in college, I drove, not just myself, but I drove with the newspaper staff. I think the whole staff to a Fiesta Bowl, a certain famous Fiesta Bowl, and we went overnight, like early morning overnight through Mexico. And I recall a rest break that did not involve any kind of a rest stop or gas station. It was just get out and stretch your legs and take care of your business, like over the overlooking this massive, like mountainous canyon type area. So for me, that was experiencing New Mexico. That was good. That was good enough. I consider myself having visited New Mexico. I probably spent 3 or 4 hours in the state on that night.
But it was at night, right?
I mean, I think we saw the sun come up.
Okay.
The committee
Okay,
believes that you have a good case. We would like more details. Did you stop at any businesses or anything like that? Did you eat any food?
No. I mean, this is 30 years ago. I don't think so. I think it was I think in lieu of stopping your businesses, it was a side of the road type of thing.
I really hope this leads to you sending texts out today inquiring for more details about this trip from people that you took with 30 years ago. That's what I want to
maybe do that.
You got to see some
of them are still
topography,
around.
though, which I think is important.
It matters, but it feels like it's still missing something here.
Okay.
However, I do think volume of time and having made the same drive that I know Mitch is talking about here, because he's driving to Phoenix, and I too have driven to Phoenix through New Mexico. but you spend a lot of time in the state. But the fact that it's mostly at night is a little damning for some of it too. We'll have to.
If you can come up with any more details, just let us know. The committee will evaluate your case, Mitch, going forward. Thanks, appreciate it as always. Have a good rest of your week.
I'll come back to you another time with a different state too.
Oh, I love this.
It might be more of a challenge.
I love this.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
That's Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. All right. I have another one here on the text line.
People send these in because I love these.
All right, so let's we'll discuss that. If you have anything on the money conversation could be a bit nauseating too at times, as well as the running back conversation. By the way, we also got a tweet.
Such a great answer
from Declan from before. Remember that guy's tweet that I read with the TV ratings?
Yeah,
baloney.
Mm-hmm.
So Declan says it's Bellany.
Okay.
Which I suppose I could see that look like baloney to me. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Journey is just one of the many shows that you could win tickets to if you go to 1620thezone.com right now. Journey, Joe Coy, George Thorogood and the Destroyers with Marshall Tucker Band, Yachtly Crew, Black Keys, Young the Giant, Chris Stapleton. All you could potentially win tickets on our website, 1620thezone.com. All right, let's go to court for a few minutes here. Here's some cases. I feel bad because a lot of the times we're requesting more information on all of these, but we are getting some detailed responses. Once again, the game here is we are the judges of if you have actually been to a state that there's a gray area. Maybe you've just driven through, maybe you haven't stopped, maybe you had a layover there. We need details. So here's one from Christopher on the text line. My flight to Detroit got diverted to Chicago because of a storm. I rented a car and decided to drive the rest of the way to Michigan. I got caught in traffic in Chicago and made a stop at a questionable gas station in Gary, Indiana, that was robbed while I was inside getting snacks. I spent an hour answering questions with the police before being let go. Would I be able to count Illinois and Indiana? You had an experience in Indiana.
It would be really hard not to count Indiana.
I think, yeah. Illinois.
One, you've been to Gary, which we think could be potentially one of the sites for the Chicago Bears.
People forget.
Two,
very close to Hammond.
Like you have a literal experience there.
Yes. I think Indiana's a gimmick.
You have to tell everyone Gary, too.
Yeah.
The hard part is the Chicago. Like you spent time in traffic. Yes. You drove there. Yes. Or you didn't drive there, but you had to drive from there.
So you're wondering about Illinois.
I am wondering about Illinois.
I think if you got off the plane, rented a car, and so you are conducting transactions.
Yeah.
Right? Not inter airport transactions.
And it probably took you at least an hour to get from the airport to Gary.
So you saw the skyline, you saw things.
You experienced Chicago traffic.
Yeah, you were in. I'm gonna say yes to both.
I'm gonna say yes because we have plenty of context. It makes me feel comfortable saying yes.
Yep.
Definitely yes to Gary, Indiana, because I mean, if you tell the story, there's no way to avoid
that's an obvious. He had an experience in Gary. All right, from the 402. When I went to travel for the Ireland game, our connecting flight to Boston was delayed, so they put us in a cab from LaGuardia to JFK at midnight. Have I been to New York?
I mean, they went outside to go to the
LaGuardia
car.
to JFK is like 6 miles.
Yeah,
like, I don't think so.
I don't want to count it.
Although being at both airports is fascinating. You're also not on the correct island. You're
also not.
You're not on Manhattan. You have to go to, in order to be in New York, I think you have to go to Manhattan.
You're also not experiencing.
Is that a rule?
Either the state or the city to say that you've been
yeah. But I feel like going to New York and New York City are kind of two different things.
Sure.
Like if you've been to Long Island or if you've been upstate, you've been to New York.
Sure.
But in order to say you've been to New York City, you kind of have to go to Manhattan.
And that's why I'm having a tough time even saying he's been to New York, let alone New York City.
Exactly. I don't think he accomplished either.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to go with no. I apologize. I'm very, very sorry about that. We got an email from Aaron. My mom grew up in Maine. I haven't read this yet, so we'll see. My mom grew up in Maine. Hi, Mom. Her family still lives there, so I have been there probably 20 times to visit in my 47 years. Most of the time we fly into Boston and drive to New Hampshire. I have also taken the train at least twice through New Hampshire, although I have been through the state many times. I don't know if I've ever stepped foot in New Hampshire. Does that count?
He's never gotten out of the car in New Hampshire.
Out of the car or train.
That
New Hampshire. Must be going through a small corner.
Now,
that small corner right by the Atlantic Ocean.
Do your feet have to touch in the state?
I kind of feel like that's important.
Should we ask Rex Ryan?
Okay, all right, Joey Sicko.
Yeah, let's keep the feet talk to a minimum.
That's pretty important to me. I would like there to be boots on the ground.
Yeah, I have a hard time imagining at no point did you ever stop in New Hampshire.
But he's been there. The sheer volume is helping him here.
I know. It's a fascinating case. It's one that I would imagine, however we rule, the appellate court could throw it back. They might disagree with the ruling.
But he's seen things, but he's only seen the same thing 20 times. Thing. I don't know. There's a good case here, but I just don't know.
Volume without variety.
Yes.
And no feet on the ground.
It just looks like any other thing and feels like any other thing.
Yeah.
I get it
New
lacks.
Hampshire was great. I would recommend spending a minute in Manchester.
I think it
Let
lacks,
your feet touch the ground.
It lacks the requisite exposure that we would like to require.
It is an incredible case, though.
Yes, it is. He follows up. He says, one of the times traveling to Maine, we took the train from Hastings to Portland. On the way, we went through Pennsylvania from one side to the other, but I don't think I got out of the train. Does that count? I don't think so. When we went to the East Coast a couple summers ago, we drove straight through Pennsylvania. Now I had Pennsylvania to count at another time, but when I went to Pittsburgh, but like just straight driving through Pennsylvania, got out to get gas a couple times, saw the whole state. It's a
Did you
gigantic
go to a Wawa?
state. I went to a Wawa.
Yeah.
I went to a Wawa. Would that have counted?
I think the fact you went to a Wawa helps your story.
It does. I went to a Wawa and a Sheetz.
Yeah, those are big. I've never been to either, but I know of their existence.
I could check it off completely now because I spent 2 days in Pittsburgh. But it's
Pennsylvania, one of the 9 states I haven't been to.
Also, Aaron says, I spent some time in Branson and on the lake there. The lake stretches all the way into Arkansas. We took the boat and crossed the state line. Not only was I in the boat, but I jumped into the lake on the Arkansas side.
No.
This might be TMI, but I also peed in the lake.
You may have peed on Arkansas, but you have not been to Arkansas.
Much like Mitch peed on.
I'm going to say no on
the
an
boat.
Incredible amount of them for him.
Like
though.
if you go on the pedestrian bridge downtown, you've never been to Iowa before. You just jump that little state line. You haven't been to Iowa.
Yeah.
Even if you pee on it, I still don't think it counts.
Not that we're suggesting you pee.
Don't pee on the bridge, please. David writes in, I drove briefly through Indiana to Michigan, but that included Gary, Indiana. I wasn't in a gas station that was robbed, but it is Gary. If a city is so odious, can you count it as it's staked? No, not many cities would rise to the level of Gary, but of those that do, I think your emotional suffering should play a part.
But did you emotionally suffer while you were going through Gary?
Just being in
that's
Gary.
That's like one of those kind of like the one I asked about going to Kansas City and you clip a little bit of Iowa.
Yeah.
Like if you're driving out of Chicago up to Michigan, you're getting a little of Indiana there. Now, depending on the route, you might also touch South Bend, which is, would state your case a little bit.
Also a dump.
Not a nice community.
A dump.
My brain expected better for South Bend.
I know.
And then I was just
you think Notre
surprised.
Dame, you think one thing, and you're like,
no, the campus was great,
yeah.
But the rest of the town was kind of sketch.
Hypothetical from Dan. You live in Nebraska, but you've only been to Council Bluffs to make a mobile bet. Have you been to Iowa? No.
Doesn't count.
Even though you have had commerce.
Yeah.
I'm going to still say no, because likely either you're not out of your car or you're just in the casino.
I have a tough time also considering a singular casino representative of a state visit too.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Vegas, at least you have to take the cab or something to get to the strip.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you're walking around the strip. Definitely you've been to Nevada.
Mustache Adam, I have one. I traveled through Indiana on my way to Louisville. But
Southern part.
One night while there, my friend and I ate at a restaurant at a city in Indiana across the river from Louisville. We were there for 1 to 2 hours. I don't count that. What saith the committee? Now, I will say this. If you are not applying for state countship, like which Adam is not here, it seems, then I am not, it is not in my purview to count it for you.
Yeah, you are presenting a case for yourself having been to a state. If you don't want to count it yourself, we're not willing to make that
I will hear your case. I will not arbitrate. I will not arbitrate.
I will say that you meet several elements, though. If you've both driven through it, but you're checking off boxes, but if you yourself don't feel like you've spent enough time there, ultimately you're your own judge.
All right. Gavel.
We need to get a gavel.
I want these stories to keep coming because they're so funny. All right, we'll take a break. 9 o'clock hour coming up on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert on a Tuesday. Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. I wish we could read more. I just don't want to go down the road and spend a third segment on it today, so we won't.
No, we don't need to do it today.
I really
just
like
keep sending them
topic.
in, and we can do this, intermittently throughout
I love
our time doing this show.
I like the topic. Mike Schaefer has just tweeted out his map of states that
41
he has
down.
been to.
Good job.
The
9 to go.
well-traveled Mike J.
All
Schaefer.
in that kind of northeast area over there.
Have you been to Hawaii or Alaska?
No, I haven't been to either Hawaii or Alaska.
That'll be a tough.
Will probably be the last two that get done.
I'm thankful I got
Hawaii will
Hawaii
probably
out
be
of the way.
last one.
Just waiting for Alaska.
Look at that. Yeah, Joey. You seem like more of an Alaska guy than a Hawaii guy.
I do have family over in Alaska, but we don't really communicate.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
I think if I could like pick between the two trips, I think I'd actually pick Alaska first. I want to do both.
Yeah,
But I
Alaska.
think I would pick Alaska first.
I kind of agree. It sounds very fun.
I think I look like someone that would pick Alaska.
You definitely have more Alaska than Hawaii to you, and I am the same because I am not of beach. I'm not a tropical man.
Yeah,
Dudes with beards are not tropical.
I love going to them, but it's it's not like the first choice I'm making if I'm picking a vacation.
Let's ask this question before we talk about a little Creighton with Jacob Padilla here in about 10 or 15 minutes. Is Nebraska ball America's sickest team? Oh, wow. Connor, you're behind on the times on what you call, what the word that you use in place of cool. No. I'm not talking about like sick, dope,
illest,
on fleek 100. I'm not talking about all those things. I'm talking about literal illness. Nebraska has now lost their at least third different player this season to a bout of an illness. Well, I guess it'd be 4, right?
Berkay,
Rink,
Jamarcus. Now,
yeah, I guess Jamarcus is the third.
There was
more sickness.
There was a couple guys that were sick around the time that Rink was, but they played.
Yes, but I'm talking missed games or. Well, I guess Jamarcus doesn't miss a game.
Didn't Oogie he was out entirely because of an illness? Yeah. And it wasn't, he was out also because of the back, but it was an injury wrapped in a sickness. He notably he was the one that he didn't make the trip to Michigan, and the reason he didn't go to Michigan is he was sick.
It was like a pig in a blanket. Like there's an injury and then it's wrapped in a cough or something like that.
Oogie in a blanket.
Oogie in a blanket. So Fred Hoiberg went on the radio last night and said that Jamarcus Lawrence's ankle is fine. He should be okay. But now he has the flu, and he hoped out loud, quote, knock on wood here, but I just hope it's not going to go through the whole team. Is Fred Hoiberg trying to reverse jinx himself, or what's going on?
I don't know.
This is America's sickest team right now.
He also knows that if it's going through the whole team, his chances of getting it himself are heightened.
That's true.
And I can't speak.
We don't need another hand sanitizer event.
Right.
We don't. Nobody wants that.
Oh, what a day in American history. Anyone that's dealt with any of this that's going around right now knows that it's pretty awful.
It's going around right now. Although I will say that I can't really recall a time in my life where someone within like a 2 weeks span, I didn't hear at least one time, yeah, something's going around right now. Something's always going around right now.
I feel like in the summer you never hear it. But
I hear it definitely something's going around right now. Yeah.
Oh man, we aren't around the same people, I guess.
Don't talk to people in the summer.
I might not.
I'm just reading books.
No, I'm not Josh Peterson.
Oh, okay.
I listen to my books like a normal person.
But is there any? I don't know. There can't be any real concern about this. But there's just little things, whether it be a tiny little injury or a guy misses a game for an illness, and it just feels like Nebraska hasn't been full forces go in a while. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him or anything like that, but I don't know. How do you think about this as it pertains to postseason play being on the horizon?
Well, they definitely haven't been firing on all cylinders for a while.
Right.
I mean, that's true, whether it's regardless of the illness or anything else. I mean, so there's that aspect of it. I find myself weirdly okay, if you're going to be galaxy brain here, if you're going to get sick, do it now.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Jake Sorensen brand.
And then, just live in a bubble starting in the Big Ten tournament from that point forward. So there's that. I was never worried. You remember what the conversation, the tenor of things was the night after the Frager injury or the day after the Frager injury? And I joked that it was the most discussed ankle since Taylor Martinez.
I remember. Good joke.
Nobody talked about Jamarcus Lawrence because it was immediately like, this can't be as bad as that. And it also, there's this element of it. It didn't look as bad. No one was really talking about it. And then they also, I feel like I just need Nebraska to get on the other side of this Maryland game before I keep saying how it's inconsequential and then they end up losing it. But
right.
I'm not.
It's okay. So let's stop the thought process there. I hear a little bit more and more. It's getting to be nervous time, right? Like you're barreling toward the postseason, and the big day is coming. It's like we are a month away from the wedding, and you're finally starting to realize, oh my God, I'm getting married in a month. Like,
does that mean the Big Ten tournament's a bachelor party?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. In this
you
case.
were so not ready.
But
for that.
I just like there's just a nervousness or like a tenseness that is that can't be done. There's nothing that can be done about it.
Sure.
Because the wedding is in a month. The biggest day in program history is in a month. And like there's no shying away from it at this point.
Right.
So it doesn't even like, so the more they lose, or the more guys get sick, or the more anything bad happens, point blank period, the more that fuels that nervousness over the next month.
Yes and no. In the sense that like I'm just kind of in this like, all right, they've got to get through these next 4 games. At worst, 2-2. I don't see how they would do worse than 2.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I don't either.
We had this discussion when I had a tough time coming up with 6 losses for them at one point. They still very well could finish,
I know,
under 6 and never even threaten 6.
Oh, I think it's likely at this point. Yeah.
And some of it is just like, you're ready to get on the other side of it. So I don't know that it's nervousness. I would change that word to anxiousness.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Like I find myself just incredibly anxious to get this thing going to where it's ultimately going to go.
I know.
And it's dumb.
It's so scary
Because I'm saying things like, well, yeah, you don't need Jamarcus Lawrence for Maryland. They still need to beat Maryland.
Yeah.
But they need to win that game just to keep it, not to make the tournament, but to keep momentum or whatever else going. And so it's just it's such a weird time. And then UCLA just beat Illinois. And I should be thinking about that game differently than I am. USC's played people tough. They've also lost by a bajillion points. They're a very Jekyll and Hyde team. They need the win to solidify their own resume.
Yeah.
And yet,
but like, it's hard to even think about that because I think to continue on with the wedding analogy or even, not like, I just think there's this general malaise about everything else, whether it's with your team or outside, that still clearly affects whether it be the Big Ten race or the seeding race or whatever it is. It definitely affects you because that day is in sight.
I'm just ready to get to the bachelor party. Like that's what it is for me right now.
You want to go to the bachelor party.
I want to go to the bachelor party. I want to see
let it all hang out.
What room I have in the house in the bachelor party. Whether it's room 2, 3, or 4, or 5. I don't want to be in room 5. I want to be in room 2, 3, or 4. 5, they snore. It's terrible. Terrible bedmate. So like I want to know that. And then I want to know how long the bachelor party is going to last.
Yeah.
And then, if it's a short bachelor party, okay, it's probably for the best. Get prepared for the wedding. If it's a long bachelor party, we're making memories.
You don't let the bachelor party spoil. If it's a bad bachelor party, you can't let it spoil.
No. I mean, to be honest, I don't know that I've ever been on a bad bachelor party.
I had a bachelor party that was my own that I maybe overindulged early and things didn't turn out the way I wanted. But that did not affect the wedding in the slightest. Not even a little bit. By the way, for those who are looking ahead, the first round of the NCAA tournament begins on March 19th. So March 19th and March 20th. You don't know officially the wedding date. You're looking on. You're looking.
Yeah, you don't know the location, the date, or who else you're getting.
It could be in Oklahoma City. It could be in St. Louis. But it's either Thursday or Friday of that week. But that's the biggest day of your life.
Pretty much.
I don't know what more It's a victim of their own doing, right? They've been so consistently good this year that you don't have to worry about anything else, really. You don't have, like, they're going to be a top 4 seed, check. Like, they're not on the bubble, like, not even near it, check. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about all these other things.
They're not.
It all comes down to that. I'm so fascinated into how much pressure is packed into that moment. And there's been nothing to suggest that this year that this team will falter under those conditions. They've been workmanlike and machine-like for the majority of the entire basketball season. But it's a different thing. It just, and that's the only thing left.
Yeah.
That is the only thing left.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're having to try to lose a bunch of weight to fit into your suit because you've already done a pretty good job. You're trim, you're looking good.
Mm-hmm.
There might be some general maintenance left before the day because of photos and everything else. But yeah, I mean, they're just kind of biding time. Weird spot to be.
Weird place to be in. That's for sure. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with Jacob Padilla on 1620 The Zone.
Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go.
Jacob Padilla, Herd at Sports, your source for Creighton hoops and Packers banter. Jacob Padilla on Happer and Schaefer, 1620, The Zone.
That is right. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Jacob Padilla from Herd at Sports. Jacob, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing all right.
Good. We decided that Schaefer. What was the impetus of this, Schaefer?
So we were discussing you, and I realized really the only thing I know about Jacob is that he loves Creighton, he loves the Packers, he loves the Suns, he covers a lot of basketball at varying levels. And I decided the one other thing to add is that he really likes volleyball. And so I wanted to learn more about him. So every time you come onto this show now, Jacob, I'm going to ask you a random question. Could be sports, could just be life related, because I want to learn more about you. And I settled on this because we had a discussion about it during the crossover yesterday. What is the fast food restaurant you have visited the most in your life? That's part one. Second one, what do you order at said restaurant?
Oh, wow. That is a really hard question because I do a lot of driving. Obviously, I covered Nebraska while living in Omaha for over a decade now. Used to cover multiple sports down in Nebraska. Still do volleyball. Going to a lot of high school games. So I'm on the road a lot. So there's a lot of fast food.
A lot of road meals.
Yeah. Man, I try to mix it up. It's hard. I don't think there's one go-to. I eat a lot of like Casey's, like pizza and
I'll accept that.
A lot of their breakfast burritos or sandwiches as well.
Casey's is very valuable because in a lot of communities where you don't always know what you're going to have for options, Casey's is available and open late.
Consistent.
And they're convenient locations around both ways where I live. There's one going back to if I need to go east, and then there's one on the way to the interstate if I'm heading down to Lincoln. One there typically there's one by the Devaney Center that I can stop by if I need to. So that's up there. But I mean, then I kind of rotate through a lot. Like Runza is convenient. Another one down there in Lincoln that's on the way. Arby's a lot. Just kind of the standard ones. It's probably Casey's if you add up the breakfast plus lunch or dinner.
Get ready to learn Buc-ee's. That's all I got to say. In your travels to Lincoln, you may be stopping at the world's largest gas station soon.
Starting a new text document just called Jacob Padilla, and in there I put likes Casey's pizza. So each week I will be adding to this. At some point we will spend time and we'll just go through everything I've learned.
All right, then. That sounds like fun.
Okay. That's on top of the stuff we already know. One of those things is Creighton basketball. So we could talk about some individual stuff. There was always in the cards on Saturday that could end up the way that it ended up. Was there any silver linings at all? Obviously from the road trip, getting the win at UConn, but kind of dampens the thrill a little bit after what happened at MSG.
Yeah, definitely. That I not shocked by it by any means. I just don't. This team hasn't shown that it's capable of sustaining success and stacking good performances on top of good performances. And as well as they played against UConn, you can't really expect them to match that because that's just not something they've done this year. But yeah, the ultimate silver lining is you went 1-1 on the toughest road trip of the season and got a win that nobody expected. That was huge for your sake and showing like, hey, we still have this in us. Because there wasn't anything from that St. John's game. It was obviously when they won in Omaha, it was a rough one. They were down a lot. Ended up winning by 17 because of their garbage time leaving their starters in kind of backfired a little bit, and Creighton ended on a run, but it wasn't that close. That being said, a lot of that was just, man, they rained threes. It went like 12 to 23 or something like that. This wasn't necessarily an outlier shooting performance. They actually shot poorly from three. It was just St. John's completely overwhelming them. They just weren't able to really operate at all against St. John's defense. And they're a really tough matchup because they are so strong 1 through 5 defensively. They can switch everything. And when you face a switch everything defense, you end up with a lot of one-on-one because a lot of the actions get guys open. They just switched them, and then you're late in the clock now, and then you just have to go create something. And Creighton just doesn't have players that can win that matchup nearly often enough compared, considering the way that St. John's was executing defensively. So it's just a really, really tough matchup. So ultimately, I think that the takeaway just has to be how well they played against UConn, and try to take the things away from that game that work that you can translate. They shot the ball really well. And a lot of the guys that they had a lot of guys playing well and shooting well at the same time, which unfortunately for them hasn't happened a ton this season. You can only control shot making to a certain degree, but there are a lot of other things, the way they opened up those looks and the way they operated, that I think McDermott wants to see them carry forward and see if that can lead to more success.
Jacob, how would you describe or what would be the best way of explaining how Jason Green is doing what he's doing? I got in my car. We were driving over to Lincoln on Saturday, and Bishop's talking about he's grabbing his shoulder, like he's clearly playing through a lot of pain. Like how is he even doing this at this point? Because the Happers talked about him where it just seems like there's times where, he's collecting all of these rebounds and he's doing it with just kind of one arm.
Sometimes I think that when he goes down, I think he's just going to be on the floor forever. I think he just stays there.
It just feels like he is.
It's like, I'm going to go to sleep now.
He is leaving
tired.
every part of himself on the floor for a season that, might be forgettable for the fans, but he's doing everything he can to give them everything that he can.
Yeah, and he added an elbow injury on his opposite arm in that last game, and ended up putting a shooting sleeve over that arm. So, he doesn't have one good arm between at this point. It's remarkable what he's done, and it was kind of a funny moment. That practice yesterday, and he said something like he forgot that he was the 5. Like, I think he did what a 4 was supposed to do on a possession, forgetting that he was the 5 with that group. And that's honestly remarkable that hasn't happened more often, considering he's played so many different positions for this team and prepared for so many different spots, and just done everything that the team has asked him. It's funny, McDermott called him their Swiss Army knife at the beginning of the season, and that was long before they realized what they were going to have to do and how they were going to have to play. He is. I think you look at things to be excited about or proud of, or happy takeaways from the season that hasn't gone according to plan in any way, is certainly obviously Josh Dix and the way he's handled everything that he's gone through, and the way the team has rallied around him. But then from an actual just on-court performance, like what Jason Green has done this year, I don't think Creighton fans should or will forget. Particularly, again, he came into this season preparing to be a 3, then slid to the 4 when Jackson McAndrew got hurt, and then went almost full-time 5 when they realized that they just weren't getting enough from Owen Freeman and Karam Konan. And now he's slid back to the 4 in some stretches. And that's the thing we saw in that game last time with Freeman playing more, is like Green able to slide his forward. You could actually see him grabbing rebounds. There's just no chance of him, like the fact that he grabbed 11 the other day, even when the shots weren't falling, was incredible, because just so like it's all he can do to try to box out these 7-footers and keep guys off the glass himself. And obviously with kind of how compromised it is, it's hard for him to reach out and like rip down contested rebounds as well. So the fact that they were able to give him a little help in the front court, we saw a little bit more of that rebounding back against St. John's, against a team that rebounds it well. But yeah, his perseverance, his willingness to do whatever the team needs to. I think that's the benefit of having guys like Jason that are from here, that grew up like watching this program, and that have been with the program for multiple years. That's ultimately a big issue that they've run into this year, is just with some of the recruiting misses over the last few years. They just had to replace so much this season, and they brought in so many new guys, and you just don't have enough of the guys that have been in this program and have experienced success, that understand what it takes to do it within this system. And Jason is the best example of a guy like that. And I think we've seen that all season long with the way that he's given the team everything that he has.
Jacob, if there was ever a game going into it where I felt like Creighton had to knock down like 18 threes to win, it would have been the UConn game. And I mean, it's not like they shot poorly. In fact, they shot quite well and made 10 threes out of 21 that night. But that was not the story at all of the game, I guess, until Harper hit a couple of those late. But instead, it was getting your head down and getting toward the rim, which I didn't see that game plan coming from a mile away, highlighted by Fedor Zugic. I mean, that has to be something that you're going to attempt to apply in the remaining 3 games of the regular season, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, like that, it was hard to do so against St. John's, just like for the reasons that I talked about with how strong they are defensively. And Creighton saw some weak spots in that UConn lineup that had been one of the best defensive teams in the country for most of the season, but they saw some weak points. I think with Alex Caravan, and I think would Hurley say he was like moving like an aircraft carrier or something after the game?
Yeah, some sort of like it was like a boat, a large boat or something, something like that.
Yeah, and then the freshman Braylon Mullins as well. They saw some weak spots there and were able to attack those guys, and were really aggressive and determined. And that's we saw that from Fedor Zugic in particular, setting the tone, but all the guards. Josh Dix got through and threw down that dunk like midway through the first half. Austin Swartz had a couple of strong takes. Nick Graves lived in the lane and had one of his better game. Like he at a season high and only hit 2 threes. A lot of the time when he's put up big point totals, it's just he's got crazy hot from 3 and hit a bunch of step backs, which isn't necessarily sustainable or reliable. So the way that he's able to get in the lane and make so much happen was a great sign for them. But yeah, and you go back to that first DePaul game. This next one up is going to be a test of that. DePaul was 16. Just going off stat broadcast, DePaul was 16 of 22 on layups and dunks. Creighton was 1 for 6. Not only did they not make layups, they didn't even get the rim. DePaul was just so much more physical than Creighton was, even though that physicality was the theme going into the game that they really focused on. And they got crushed on the offensive glass, especially early. They weren't able to get to the rim at all. And then NJ Benson just feasted on switches and on lobs and stuff. So that's got to be the emphasis going into this one in particular. Is like they cannot get worked physically like they did. That they have to find a way to get to the rim to finish and then to execute better defensively. They were switching a ton of stuff. We've seen them try so many different things defensively because nothing really seems to be working. And in that one in particular, they were doing a ton of switching, a ton of trapping, all that stuff. And their kind of execution in that just wasn't good enough. They got some mismatches, and the guys weren't. I think McDermott even said like some of the rebounds they just didn't fight hard enough to kind of hold their ground, considering the mismatches that they had on some of the switches. So yeah, they're going to have to find a way to get to the rim and to replicate some of what they did against UConn. A lot of that too is playing with pace and getting out and running. And so the defensive glass, they'll have to do much better with that early on, and we'll see if they're able to execute that.
They play on Wednesday. Who does Jacob think is the best team in the Big East? Is it St. John's? Is it UConn? pick one side, settle the debate between Happer and Schaefer.
St. John's is certainly playing like the best team in the league right now. I don't know that I'd pick them to go in and win at UConn, but I mean that was impressive the way they handled UConn in their place, and again the way that they're operating right now. I think you have to give credit to them. They've earned that. I think that the slow start, like the metrics, UConn still ahead considering where St. John's was earlier in the season, but the way Dylan Darling's playing now, kind of answering some of those point guard questions. Dylan Mitchell's kind of doing a bit of everything and really settled into that glue role where he's defending at a high level and he's being a good playmaker, even though he's not much of a shooter, and kind of, again, alleviating some of that point guard issue because you got another guy that's sharing and setting his teammates up. So I think you'd have to take St. John's right now, but I don't know that there's any real gap between the two. Like UConn is certainly still capable of being as good as anybody on any given day, and they've got the stronger body of work. But yeah, seeing them both in the same week, I don't think you can say anything but St. John's at this point.
All right, Jacob, we will let you go. Appreciate it as always, and we'll see you late tomorrow night.
All right, sounds good.
Jacob Padilla from Her Dad Sports. Check out his Creighton coverage and all sorts of things there. I'm just thinking about those two rosters side by side, and I think about like the old experienced guys. So this is going to sound easy, right off the bat. Who do you trust more in the 2-on-2 team? Solo Ball and Alex Caravan, even though those aren't their two best players, but their oldest and most experienced, versus Zuby and Hopkins. It's obvious. It's Zuby and Hopkins. And, so now you add in Demery and Reed and Mullins, who's been, an X factor for them this year. It's
the
a team
whole
game.
totality of the
but
five.
they have guys like that too. I mean, Darling has been awesome, like you said. There's been Lefty Leotopoulos games this year. We had one in Omaha, and Sellers and Mitchell do a really good. It's tough. I don't know. I go ultimately at the end of the day, I go back to track record, and that's just the tiebreaker for me. But
is this a lead into the Creighton and DePaul game? They play here Wednesday.
They will play at 6 tomorrow on Peacock.
No, this is not the lead in because I don't think they're on Peacock.
Creighton plays at 8. They are on Peacock. So this is the lead into Creighton DePaul.
Wow.
Yeah, Paul Burmeister, Nick Baugh.
Creighton DePaul has had great lead-ins before, most notably an NFL game on Christmas once. The most watched college basketball game of all time. What a time.
Incredible stuff.
We are back and round things out next on a Tuesday here on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back on a Tuesday. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you. Is this the one we get to is this where we get to the fast food? Take your pick, fast food or Darren Peterson. That's what we have left on the board.
You know, I don't feel good about talking about pro Kansas topics. They didn't lose.
Is it pro Kansas? I mean, it's kind of not.
I don't know. Like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Which would you rather? I feel like you want to talk about. Can we save Darren Peterson for tomorrow?
Oh, Darren Peterson.
We've been talking about him a lot.
It's a topic that always will have the gas. Always.
You know how I feel about fast food topics.
All right. So there's a tweet going around. You can only have 4 restaurants in your city. Which one are you choosing? I will put it up on the stream, the graphic for you all here in just a second once I get it loaded in. But there is a variety of different options for you. Maybe some of you saw this graphic going around. I think severe. Whoa! How did that happen? Okay, let's do that.
That actually looked cool.
Oh, it's not big enough. It doesn't fit right on the YouTube screen. That is a great background for something, though. Joey, can we just make that the background of our show?
I mean, that's a director of video question.
How do we make this?
I want my photo taken in front of this.
Why is this like
I have
this?
all the fast food logos.
Oh, I know what happened. I uploaded it into the background section. I needed to upload it into the graphics section, which is a user error on my part.
Good job, Connor.
So here we go. Now there's the full graphic. That's perfect. Sorry, Joey. We X'd you out.
Well.
Joey's just gone.
So you get to pick 4 and you don't have access. You're basically like creating this city where you're it's like a Sim City fast food edition.
Now, are we saying there's no local food options?
No, we are not saying that. There are local food options.
Because that kind of changes things.
It's a town where every single fast food piece of real estate, this is what I'm imagining. Every single fast food piece of real estate is blank canvas. And you
only get 4.
Get 4 to occupy all of the buildings. That's kind of how I'm
because that changes sort of how I was doing this in my head.
Okay.
So I'll give you
tell me how you were doing it.
So here's where the 4 that I ended up with. I had Qdoba, which I would put number 1 above everything.
We both agree with that.
And then I had McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and Sonic. And the rationale for this was that at McDonald's you're getting your sort of your basics, your staples.
You went for variety.
You're getting your staples, plus you have breakfast options, which I think matters. At Pizza Hut, I wasn't sure if there was no other available pizza. At which point, like, I could make my own pizza at home. But, I had Pizza Hut on there for variety. Sonic was like the wild card. And I had some regret after I listed this because you can get some variety in what they have. You can do ice cream, dessert, whatever. But I was talking with my wife about this, and she had Chick-fil-A on her list, and I regret not going with that.
I think Chick-fil-A is an important one to have.
I want a chicken-based thing. And I was thinking Popeyes, but then she had said Chick-fil-A, so then I think I would change it to Chick-fil-A for number 4 for me.
Okay.
But Pizza Hut could go, and then I'm like wide open at that point.
I absolutely agree with you on the Qdoba situation. Now, I saw someone choose Shake Shack, but I didn't see it on
Severe did, but I don't
think it was on the graphics.
I don't think it's on the graphic.
I was going to ask if we have to choose whatever.
It's got to be on the graphic.
It's got to be on the graphic. It's got to be on the graphic. And so, you wanted a burger place, and basically your options for the fast casual burgers, the fast food burgers are like Johnny Rockets, In-N-Out, and Whataburger. Out of those, and there's like Fuddruckers on there too, which is just a restaurant.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Applebee's is on there, and I don't think it fits the rest of it.
And that basically, that's So I got Qdoba, and I'm choosing Whataburger out of the burgers.
I consider that instead of McDonald's.
I love Jack in the Box, but I was trying to parse through my feelings of if I only like Jack in the Box because of my lack of access to Jack in the Box.
Which is a real thing.
And ultimately, I think I'm just going to decide to put a Jack in the Box in Conneropolis.
Wow.
In Happeropolis.
So we have Qdoba, we have Whataburger, we have
Jack in the Box. Yeah.
Now, is Whataburger part of that because you don't have access to it here currently?
I just prefer it to In-N-Out and Johnny Rockets, which are my other burger choices.
Do you know how much it costs to franchise a Whataburger?
No.
It's more than $1 million to just franchise the rights to it.
Shout out Bobby
let
Wood
alone
Jr.
the actual, like, everything else that has to go to it.
Yeah. And then I think Chick-fil-A is probably an important thing to have on there too. Now we leave out a bunch of sandwich places.
So the sandwiches you can do yourself.
Sandwiches you could do yourself. I do like Quiznos though, but I have a lack of
Grab a
access
loaf of bread.
to Quiznos. And I have an underserved fast food taco situation as well.
But Qdoba, you're going to get that. Like, you have
True.
the access. So
yeah.
my argument for Qdoba is that you would end up with like tacos, burritos, nachos, quesadilla. I mean, if you want tortilla soup, you can get a rice bowl if you want to be healthy. You can just do chips and queso. You have all of that at your disposal.
Here's one that got a ton of consideration for me and ultimately fell just a hair short. I have nothing but positive things to say about Arby's.
I was surprised it wasn't on there.
Arby's is a go green place. Go for me. Something
that's
new
one
on
of
the
my
menu
4.
every time. I will always try whatever concoction they're cooking up. Oh, we have a gyro. Awesome. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Sounds
No.
fantastic. They have a great track record.
I considered Arby's. It just was, and it could potentially replace Pizza Hut, which I don't think needs to be on there the more I consider this.
No, it doesn't.
But I don't think that I would go with Arby's. Like, looking at it, I'd like your Whataburger, even though I already have McDonald's, but I just like Whataburger. I desperately want Nebraska to have a Whataburger. I would frequent it too much.
I don't care about any of the breakfast places. I don't care about any.
You don't
of
need
the,
a donuts
of-
place.
of
You don't need
the-
an IHOP.
Yeah. Like there is Nathan's or Wiener Schnitzel on here.
Mhm.
We have a Wiener Schnitzel in Omaha now, if you weren't aware.
I did not know that.
We have created ourselves a Wiener Schnitzel, which is fantastic. It's on 72nd.
Ooh,
Mike
this is a good
Grover.
point, though. The thing about Chick-fil-A is it's closed on Sunday, which is 25% of your fast food.
Fascinating discussion.
Does that just put Popeyes?
You famously can't have Chick-fil-A at a Falcons game
Unless they play on Monday night.
or Thursday night.
Lance says you forgot Bronco Burgers at Omaha Classic. I would take Bronco over any of them, but it wasn't on the graphic.
I remember the first time I had Bronco Burger was in this station. Someone like Josh was doing this thing in the afternoons. They were eating random fast food on like Wednesdays, and I filled in for Bishop one day, and he had picked up Broncos, but he picked it up like an hour before we ate it, and so it just like wasn't good. And so I just wrote it off. And then I had it at some point within the
Big
last couple
mistake.
years. First of all, if you're going to eat it, just like go there. Just go
100%.
enjoy the weird experience of like what fast food used to be.
Mhm.
And then it's so good.
It's the
It
perfect
is
burger.
so
really
good.
It's the perfect burger.
We're talking about it, and I kind of want to have it for lunch. I won't, but I want to.
Maybe you could, though. All right. That will do it for us. The fascinating and scintillating conversations will continue on tomorrow. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossovers coming up next.
It's